mornings from 7 to 10. It's time for Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sportstime is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stat Scoresworthy and Brian Davis.
Fight Song Friday here on Sportstime. OHIO, Ohio State Fight Song getting us started this afternoon. No Brett this afternoon. Brett is off today, taking a personal day. He's going to join us a little later in the show, obviously with Arkansas and Texas playing this weekend. He wanted to talk Arkansas and Texas with Ty Richardson, so he's going to join us a little later, I believe, to talk with Ty, and then I believe he's also going to join us later in the 5 o'clock hour to talk Friday football forecast, make our picks. So you'll still hear some Brett today, but at least early in the show, it'll just be Bryant and Connor with you this afternoon as we're Sports Time. We're with you for the next 3 hours and a ton to get into, a super busy weekend in the sports world. You look at the college football action that we've got over the weekend with some great games, some great SEC games that we've got to talk about, the big one being Tennessee and Georgia. We're going to make all our picks later at 5:30 during Friday football forecast. Memphis Tigers, they play their final home game of the season tomorrow night at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. It'll be senior night for that great group of seniors. I know there are a lot of expectations this year for this team, but you look at the careers that this group of seniors has had, and they've been a terrific group. So I hope a lot of people are there for that game tomorrow night against a really bad UAB team. This is a UAB team that I think last year, high expectations for what they could be. I don't think anybody thought they would be a great team last year, but certainly, high expectations. You got Dilfer in there as the head coach. Maybe he can turn things around and get something going, but that has not been the case. This year has really been bad. So hopefully Tigers can go out there tomorrow night and get a big win at home. On senior night, we're going to actually be giving away tickets throughout the show, so make sure you stay tuned in. We'll be giving out tickets if you want to go to that Tiger and UAB game. Keep on listening. We've got some nice tickets to give away over the next hour or so. We'll do that. But let's and then also Tiger basketball. We got to talk about Tiger basketball tonight against Ohio, their third game of the season, looking to start 3-0. It's really weird how the season is starting for the Tigers. You look at tonight, obviously, against Ohio being game 3. This will be game 4 for Ohio. Tigers started the season last Monday, then had the rest of the week off Saturday night against UNLV. Now they've had a whole week off again, playing Ohio tonight, and then they'll basically have another week off before they play San Francisco on Thursday, November 21st. And as we know, that San Francisco game, it's going to be a quote-unquote neutral site game, but it's at the Chase Center, so it's really going to be more of a home court environment for San Francisco.
Oh, yeah. In San Francisco tonight, they need to get a get-right win tonight against Ohio because this is probably their easiest non-conference game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and you look at both these, and I have KenPom pulled up right here, so this is a good kind of gauge of where these teams are. Ohio right now, KenPom ranking 162 in KenPom rankings. You look at the rest of the non-conference schedule, the next closest to that is Arkansas State, who is currently 106 according to KenPom. So that's a big gap. This is certainly Memphis's easiest team, but this is also an Ohio team that brought back a handful of starters, added some guys through the transfer portal, won 20 games last year, and preseason to win the MAC this year. So I think the Tigers will win. We're going to get to Tiger Bankroll here in a second. I've got Brett and Darian's picks, and you'll have yours. Obviously, I have mine. We'll get to that in a second. Right now, the line's 12.5. I think if the Tigers go out and do what needs to be done, I think they can cover that number easily. But, this is a team that you can't go in there and sleepwalk or it's going to be close late in the game. But we'll get back into that in a second. I mentioned San Francisco. That's who they'll play next on the road, neutral side, and then they'll go out to Maui from there. But speaking of San Francisco, Grizzlies also in action tonight against the Golden State Warriors at that location, the Chase Center. It will be their first game of the NBA Cup play. Golden State's already played one NBA Cup game. They played Dallas on Tuesday. That was Clay's return to Golden State. And so now we'll see the Grizzlies in their first action of NBA Cup play. And we'll talk more about the Grizzlies a little bit later in this hour.
Yeah, I think the Grizzlies are going to be real exciting in this cup. Last year,
so.
Last year the main thing was the older veterans loved getting the money for the young guys. The Grizzlies have a lot of young guys I think will be real excited for this.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think I'm curious to see what they do tonight. I don't believe they won a cup game last year throughout the group stage or anything. I don't think they won a single cup game last year. And obviously we know last year with all the injuries, it's not surprising that they didn't win a cup game. But watching Tuesday night, we'll get more into this at 3:45 because I do want to spend a lot of time talking Tiger football and Tiger basketball in this first segment. But going back to Tuesday night, NBA Cup, I was blown away by some of these young teams that were out there competing in Cup play. Atlanta, without Trae Young, goes into Boston and beats the Celtics. Portland, who had just gotten whipped up on by the Grizzlies, they go out and beat Minnesota, who has plenty of veteran players, by double digits. So, it feels like, you don't really know what to expect with these Cup games.
That's the motivator. These young guys can basically double their contract if they win this thing.
Yeah, and so, I think, you can get it. It feels like, and I said this after, Wednesday after the Tuesday night, NBA Cup's working. I know, the courts are ugly, or I don't mind the courts. I think they're fine. But once you get past that and maybe the newness and it being so different, it's very clear the guys get amped up for these games, and it makes for great competition. These guys want to win. These guys want to get, like you said, Connor, that check for the whole team. I mean, they benefit from it. Who doesn't like more money? But also some of those younger guys that are on minimum contracts, give them a little more cheddar. And so I've loved NBA Cup play. I liked it late last year, kind of seeing it as more guys were getting into it. And then certainly Tuesday night, it felt like everybody was really in on NBA Cup. So I'm excited to see what tonight looks like for the Grizzlies, what they look like in this game. We'll get more into that, talk about more injuries. I know a couple guys questionable for tonight's game in San Francisco against the Golden State Warriors. So we'll talk about that towards the end of this hour. But I do want to talk Tigers, and let's start with Tiger football. The Tiger football team wrapping up their home slate tomorrow night against UAB. Mentioned it already. It's senior night. It's going to be, I'm sure, really emotional for Ryan Silverfield and a lot of that coaching staff and a lot of these seniors. It always is on senior night, but this was really Ryan Silverfield's first group. These were the guys that he brought in and have been his guys. He recruited a lot of them. He brought them in, and he's been their head coach. And so I'm sure it'll be really emotional, especially Seth Hennigan being your quarterback for 4 years. It should be a good game and a good night for Tiger fans, but going up against this UAB team, UAB has not been good this season.
Not at all, and I think this should be an easy win for Memphis, but they've been playing down to competition. Mm-hmm. It seems like the last few games they've been motivated by losing. They've really only been motivated. They only have a spark when they're down, it seems.
Yeah. Well, I pulled this up earlier, and I know we're going to do, I don't want to give anything away for Tiger Bankroll not Tiger Bankroll, Friday Football Forecast when we will pick the Tigers versus UAB game. But I looked this up earlier because I was curious. This season, Memphis is 8-2. So they've played 10 games. They're 8-2 on the season. Against the spread, they're 4-5-1. So they've only covered 4 spreads out of 10. They've lost 5, and then they pushed last week against Rice. It was a 7-point spread, and at least according to Covers, is what Covers has it closing at as a 7-point spread. And we know that final score was 27-20. Before that, Obviously didn't cover the spread against UTSA. They were favoring that game. Didn't cover the spread against Charlotte. Didn't cover the spread against North Texas. Covered the spread against USF. That was a road game. Didn't cover the spread against MTSU. And didn't cover the spread, obviously, against Navy when they lost that game on the road. So in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, they've only covered one spread. And this is a big number. 14.5 is, I believe, what we're playing at. I don't know exactly what it is now because we usually play numbers that are a little earlier in the week because that's kind of when Brett sends those games out and lets us know these are the games that we're playing. So I don't know exactly what it is at this moment, but it's still probably hovering in that area of about 13, 14 and a half. And I think, it could be tough for Memphis to cover that spread.
Right now I see it at 15.5, so it's going up.
And I see it at 16. So it's moving in the Tigers' direction, which is, interesting. But also I can see it on the other side. I can see this game going both ways because I can also see it, all right, final game for all these seniors. You look at those seniors that you have on the offensive side of the ball. You look at the defense side. Greg Rubin, who's been a 4-year starter at cornerback, in defensive backfield. He's kind of gone from cornerback to safety. I can see, hey, this is our last game. Let's go out here and dominate and leave our memories and leave our legacy with great memories of a blowout win against UAB.
But yet again, they haven't.
But I'm saying maybe the motivation will be more tomorrow night because it's senior night,
Yeah.
But, who knows? And we'll get to our picks about 5:30 or so. Tiger basketball tonight against Ohio. Jason Munns, he'll join us at 5 o'clock to talk about that UNLV game, but also talk about this game tonight. Carter, this Ohio team coming in, I already mentioned it, they're picked to win their conference preseason, but so far this year, 1-2, the only win, a home game against UNC Asheville. Their other two games, both road games, both losses against James Madison and Illinois State. The thing that's jumped out to me about this Ohio team, and I brought it up, I believe I talked about, we might have talked about it yesterday. I don't remember if I talked about it yesterday or not because I noticed this yesterday. But this Ohio team really struggles rebounding the ball, averaging about 28 rebounds per game, total rebounds per game, about 28 rebounds per game. And so I feel like while the Tigers maybe front court depth could be an issue this year at times, I think as long as Nicholas Jourdain and Moussa Cisse stay out of foul trouble, both those guys finished last week with 4 fouls. Moussa Cisse, 4 fouls in only 11 minutes of game time. If those guys can stay out of foul trouble, this Tigers team should really be able to dominate the boards and, especially on their offensive side, grab offensive rebounds, get second chance opportunities, extend those possessions. And so I think, I want to see a better start. I think that's a lot of people have been talking about that, the slow starts for this Tigers team. I would like to see them go out and try to shoot the ball well early in this game, knock down shots, get a lead early. Instead of falling behind like they have in these first two games. But this game could be determined in the front court, and I think depending on what that rebound number is, that could determine how the game goes.
Yeah, that's that was a problem earlier. I mean, was it Danger that got in foul trouble pretty early last game?
No, I think that was Jourdain.
Jourdain got in foul trouble.
Had like 2 or 3 fouls.
And we don't have that much depth in the front court.
No.
So that's going to be a big point of emphasis in this game.
And shooting the ball. I mean, Ohio defensively, offensively they're a solid team. Defensively is really where they struggle. How about this? 3-point percentage. They are allowing opposing teams to shoot 48% from 3. So, maybe the Tigers, that's been an area they've struggled in to start the season, is that 3-point shot. And maybe they get something going tonight and can kind of knock down the long balls. Ohio's not very good defending the 2 either. Opposing teams shooting about 54% inside the arc. So this should be a game where, the conversation of shooting struggles that we had certainly in the Missouri game, in the first half against UNLV, second half they shot 71% from the field. Maybe some of that success, some of that hot shooting will carry over, and certainly against a defense that kind of struggles on that end of the court, maybe that all collides into a really successful night for the Tigers.
And again, tonight you might be able to get away with having a slow start again, but these next few games coming up, not at all. You're not going to be able to get away with it.
Well, that's another thing, and that's a good point. I think you want to really play well in this game and kind of use this as a tune-up game because it only gets tougher. You mentioned it. This is, Ohio's the easiest opposing team on the non-conference slate.
Then you have San Francisco, UConn, and then another good game after UConn.
After that. And for Ohio, I should point this out. Memphis is Ohio's toughest opponent they'll play all season long. Ohio does not play another team that is currently inside Kim Palm's top 100 this year. So this is going to be a tough test for Ohio, and we'll see what happens. With all that being said, before we get to top and not top story, let's get into Tiger Bankroll. I have Tiger Bankroll picks for everybody, but Connor, let's start with you. Where are you going to go with Tiger Bankroll?
I have Memphis, what is it, minus 12.5?
12.5 is what we're going to play it at.
I have Memphis minus 12.5. I'm going to go for $25.
All right, $25, Memphis minus 12.5. Brett is going to take Ohio for $25. So he'll take Ohio plus the 12.5 for $25. Darian, you said $25. Is that how much you said?
It's 25.
25. Darian's right there with you. He's going to take Memphis for $25. I feel really good about this game for the Tigers. I'm going to take Memphis to cover the spread minus 12.5. I'm going to go $50. That is by far the most. Obviously, we've only done 2 games. By far the most money I've done for Tiger Bankroll in a game this season.
I did 50 against UNLV.
You did, and they got there, so you feel good about that. But I feel good about this game against Ohio. We'll see what happens tonight. Should be a good opportunity for Penny Hardaway and his team. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Alan Bell from the AB3 and Driving the Line. He'll join us, talk some wagering with him. We'll get to a ton of NFL games. We'll get to a couple of certainly the bigger college football games with him towards the end of that segment, but really hammering the NFL early with Alan. 3:45, we'll talk about the Grizzlies and their game tonight against Golden State, a road game against Golden State. But then we've also got to talk about Sunday night's game, a home game against Denver. And I believe that is the game the Grizzlies will be debuting the Sounds jerseys. So
those are beautiful.
No, they're fantastic. I saw CBS Sports ranked all the jerseys in Memphis. They said by far and away number 1 in those rankings. So we'll talk a little bit about the 2 Grizzly games over the weekend. 4 o'clock, Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. He'll join us. We'll talk more wagering with Bruce at 4 o'clock, focus more on the college games, and then get to a couple of NFL games towards the end. 4:30, Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas. He'll join us to talk the Razorbacks and the SEC with a big game for Arkansas as they host Texas tomorrow morning. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Jason Munns, the Commercial Appeal Tiger basketball beat writer. He'll join us. We'll talk Tiger basketball. We'll talk about the win over UNLV and talk a little bit more about tonight's game against Ohio. As always, Jason Munns presented by Jim's Place in Collierville. 5:30, we'll get to our First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast, and then we'll wrap up today's show at 5:45 with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Get over to Family Leisure for the ultimate game room and fall sale. Complete the ultimate game room with a new pool table, a new shuffleboard, or even a new arcade game. Help them clear out their overstock of theater seating. It's all priced to move. It's also perfect fire pit weather, and all fire pits at Family Leisure are currently 20 to 30% off. And don't forget about the spas. Spas are up to $1,500 of those beautiful in-stock spas that Family Leisure has, and they're ready to be delivered. So head out to Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40. You can be a part of today's show by hitting up the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line, 901-360-8255. Text or call any of your thoughts, any questions. If you want to hear about a specific game for Alan or Bruce, text those into the Sissy's Log Cabin Cabin listener line, 901-360-8255, and we'll make sure to get those. I mentioned we've got Tiger tickets to give away. We'll be giving those away throughout the show, but those courtesy of Sissy's Log Cabin as well. And this hour brought to you every single afternoon by Lexus of Memphis. Get out there this weekend. It's supposed to be beautiful weather. So a beautiful time and a perfect time to get out to Lexus of Memphis. Test drive one of those cars. And with the holidays around the corner, perfect time to get a new vehicle. So we appreciate Lexus of Memphis for being with us every single afternoon. Let's go ahead and get to top story of the day.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day, I think it's the weekend for the Memphis Tigers. You've got basketball tonight against Ohio, and you've got football tomorrow night against UAB. I think both are really big. Obviously, for football, we've talked about it. Everybody's been talking about it. It's senior night, and I can't remember who it was earlier this week that we had on. It was either Jonah Dillon or maybe Matt Infield. One of them said, tomorrow night marks the end of an era. You had Seth Hennigan, a 4-year starter. His career at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, obviously he'll play another game against Tulane, he'll play a bowl game, but it'll be coming to an end in terms of home games, and that will close a book, close a chapter in this Memphis Tiger history. He's going to go down as, with all the records, a ton of records that he's gotten over these last couple of years. So it should be a fun night, and hopefully they can get a big win over UAB. But it's not just Seth Hennigan. A ton of really great seniors that have really made a difference to this university and to this program. So hopefully a lot of people go out there tomorrow night, and hopefully Tigers pick up a really solid win. And then tonight against Ohio, this Tiger team with an opportunity to start the season 3-0 before they head out to San Francisco, and more importantly, before they start in Maui. I'll be completely honest. Before the season started, I had this team 1-2 at this point, including tonight's game. I had them winning against Missouri, I had them losing on the road against UNLV, and I had them losing tonight's game against Ohio. I'm going to try to not look at it completely 2020 vision. I already mentioned I think the Tigers win tonight, so I would go back and change that game preseason if I was changing it now. I'd probably still leave UNLV as a loss because I think that was just a really good win by the Tigers. I think UNLV is a tough road opponent, but still, Tigers have played well to start the season. This team looks locked in. You got PJ Haggerty, a guy that you can just give the ball to, say go get a bucket, and he'll get that bucket, or he'll get to the free throw line and knock down a couple of free throws. So we'll see what they do tonight. I think if they can do what we saw them do in that second half, certainly not shoot at 71%. I mean, that's impossible to ask anybody. But if they can shoot the ball well like they did in that second half, if they can rebound the ball well against a team that really struggles in that area, I think they should have a pretty easy win tonight over Ohio. Now, again, you can't sleepwalk through that game. You got to go in determined, try to get an early start, but it should be a win for them. And then, you go to San Francisco with a 3-0 start. I mean, that would be great. It would be a great start for Penny Hardaway and this team that he had to put together in the offseason, only one player returning.
My top story of the day is the lucky person who can find Paul Skeens' rookie debut autographed baseball card.
How about that?
This fan who is able to find this will receive 2 Pirates season tickets behind home plate for the next 30 years. They'll also have a meet and greet with Paul Skeens, get 2 autographed jerseys, and all other sorts of events. Also, get to sit at a game with Livy Dunn.
Yeah, they also get like a spring training experience or something like that.
And, they get a spring training experience. They also get a private softball game
I saw that,
at PNC Park.
Yeah, so it's cool. So it started off where it was, this card was posted, it's 1-of-1 autographed Paul Skeens rookie card, and then the Pirates quote tweeted that and said, hey, we want to get this card so everyone can see it. Here's what we're offering, whoever can get that. And then Livy Dunn, Paul Skeens' girlfriend, very famous LSU gymnast, has really cashed in with NIL and social media. She quote tweets that and says, I'll make it even better. I want to invite whoever it is to sit in my suite for a game for the Pirates. So good deal if you can be that person to find the 1-of-1 rookie trading card.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story's got to be this weekend of college football. You know, we talked about it a lot this week, the college football playoff rankings and kind of how they shake out this weekend. So now it sets up a massive game between Georgia and Tennessee. This line right now is leaning all Georgia in this game, and we don't know right now, will Nico play? Will he not play? Nothing official. It sounds like that will probably not be official until, probably a couple minutes, an hour, 30 minutes before that game starts. But right now, Georgia about a 9.5-point favorite at home, a game that they really need to win. I talked about it yesterday, how it's kind of funny how the SEC play has turned out these last couple of weeks. So last week, it was a must-win game for Ole Miss. Ole Miss wins that game over Georgia. Now it has become a must-win game for Georgia. If they beat Tennessee, now Tennessee next week, it will be a must-win game for them. So it's kind of funny how almost these dominoes have kind of fallen into line. But I think it's going to be a really good game. We'll make our picks for this one as well at 5:30. But I think Tennessee can keep this game close. They've relied so much on that run game and on the defense. Now, if Nico's out, Georgia's going to say, all right, we're shutting down the run game. We're going to force you to throw the ball against us, and that's where things could get really tricky. But I do think that's going to be a really good matchup at 6:30 on ABC. But some other really good games throughout the day. You've got a game that I'm really interested in between Missouri and South Carolina. Right now, South Carolina, 14-point favorite at home. They're the newly added team to the college football playoff rankings at 21, Missouri at 23. So a top 25 battle. What does LSU look like after that loss at home against Alabama this weekend in the Swamp against Florida? Some really, really good matchups this weekend. And maybe after this weekend, BYU at home against Kansas, maybe we'll have a better idea of what this bracket could look like and who maybe those 12 teams will be.
My not top story is the boxing match tonight, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson on Netflix. All I gotta say is how real is it gonna be? I'm real skeptical.
It's a good question. What is it? It's heavier gloves. It's only 2-minute rounds instead of 3-minute rounds. So, I mean, it's sanctioned, but I question a lot of it. Jake Paul, the former social media and YouTube star turned boxer, he's a very heavy favorite tonight against the old Mike Tyson. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to a break. And when we come back, we're talking some games. We're talking some wagering with Alan Bell.
The 2025 Range Rover Sport sits right at the heart of the Land Rover lineup, offering a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility. Smaller and more agile than a full-size Range Rover, it's a great option for everyone who wants luxury and practicality. Every model comes with 8-speed automatic transmission and all-wheel drive standard. Whether you navigate city streets or tackle rough terrain, Range Rover Sport has you covered. Every drive is powerful and breathtaking. The 2025 Range Rover Sport is the epitome of sporty luxury. Test drive one at Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner. Maybe start with an appetizer like our baked sweet peculiar peppers stuffed with goat cheese and mozzarella, finished with basil pistou, and move on to one of our cozy dishes like the double chocolate stout braised boneless beef short ribs with tonkatsu sauce and creamy mashed potatoes. Or a fresh seafood dish like our pan-roasted ginger-buttered sea bass with cilantro soy vinaigrette. I get hungry just talking about it. Don't forget about dessert, our famous sweet buttermilk pie with brown sugar sauce, or drink your dessert with one of our signature dessert cocktails, like the lemon cheesecake martini, lemony, icy, frothy, and dusted with graham cracker crumbs. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe. We can't wait to serve you.
The success you've had in life matters. The late nights, the extra shifts, the moments you've stood up and said, I've got this. At University of Maryland Global Campus, we value your achievements because we're a school for real life. With UMGC, you can earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning in life and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. We offer scholarships, affordable tuition, and online and hybrid classes, all with the support you need from your first day to graduation day and beyond. As an accredited state university, we've been transforming lives for over 75 years. Choose from more than 135 undergraduate and graduate degrees and certificates, and get ready to succeed again. University of Maryland Global Campus keeps your educational goals attainable with no-cost digital materials, replacing textbooks in most courses, affordable tuition, and over $15 million in scholarship opportunities available each year. Find out if you qualify. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Family Leisure needs your help. Family Leisure has inventory they've got to move because you know what season is coming up. So why wait? You can complete your ultimate game room with a new pool table, a new shuffleboard, new arcade games, or just get all of them. Tons and tons of theater seating, overstocked and priced to move. 'Tis the season for fire pits, and all fire pits at Family Leisure are 20 to 30% off. You say you didn't get a spa this year? Well, say no more. Spas are in stock, and they're ready for delivery and up to $1,500 off. These are just a few of the deals happening right now for a very limited time. So come on, check out their gigantic showroom. You never know what kind of deal you're going to find at Family Leisure, Whitten Road and I-40, where family and fun come together.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's already picking up with a little bit more volume through the Midtown area on 240 southbound over here at South Parkway. Still looks good. 40 westbound across the Hernando de Soto Bridge headed over into West Memphis. There's been some radar today out here on I-40 out through Fayette County, so be careful. Hey, shop now and save during the holiday season at Weimer's Jewelry, located 7525 Highway 64. Go see them this weekend at Weimer's Jewelry. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant with you on this Friday afternoon. We're about to talk some wagering with Alan Bell. He joins us every Friday from the AB3 and Driving the Line. But before we do that, I want to put this out so that people can go ahead and call in. We've got a two-pack of tickets, so two tickets, pair of tickets for Tiger football versus UAB tomorrow night. These are really nice tickets. They're the chairback tickets, also access to the Field Suite Lounge for tomorrow night's game against UAB. So if you want those tickets, a pair of tickets, two tickets to the chairbacks, also to that Field Lounge, call the Sissy's Log Cabin right now. First caller to 901-360-8255 gets those tickets. Again, first caller, 901-360-8255. Let's go ahead and talk with Alan Bell. Alan, thanks so much for joining us. We've got some really good games in both college and the NFL this weekend. So we'll start with the NFL. And let's just start this. Let's start a little differently. What's your favorite game in the NFL this weekend?
Man, I'll tell you this. First, I appreciate you having me back, buddy.
Yeah.
My favorite play is the Vikings and the Titans under. I could see this game being unbelievably low scoring. The Titans defense is not too bad. The Vikings defense is incredible. I think you're going to see two offenses, especially if Aaron Jones is a no-go for Minnesota at running back. Dude, I love this being just a slugfest, ugly style game. Like, Vikings will win it, but I could just see it being ugly, man. That's my
Yeah.
favorite, the under there.
I like it. What about this Packers-Bears game? We know how, that rivalry, the history of it, and now you've got, some things going on behind the scenes for the Bears. They fired their offensive coordinator, and now you hear stories and reports in this locker room that a lot of people obviously wanted the offensive coordinator gone, but some veterans kind of going in and saying, hey, maybe we should bench the rookie and put in Tyson Bagent to start the rest of the season. In this game on Sunday against the Packers, Green Bay a 5.5-point favorite, that total at 40.5. What do you like in this one?
Man, I love Green Bay. And look, I know it's easy to say that, but for everything that you just mentioned right there, on top of, as bad as all that is, Green Bay is the opposite in every single category. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This team is together, this locker room is together. They understand exactly how important this game is, it being a division game. They've got the Lions that just keep winning, so they need to keep winning. I'm kind of surprised it's 5.5. I get that that's a large number in the NFL, and it's on the road. But, oh, man, give me Green Bay here. I think that they roll all over Chicago.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Maybe the best team in the NFL, certainly one of the best teams in the NFL, the Detroit Lions, 8-1 on the season. They're at home, a massive line against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Right now, Detroit a 2-touchdown favorite over the Jaguars, 14 points, that total at 46.5. What do you like in this one?
Well, I like the under in this game. I think that you're going to see a Lions offense that comes out efficient, coming off of the 5-interception game that we just saw. But I think that you're going to see a Jacksonville team that is somewhat stout, defensively on the line at least. And you're going to see, it's just going to be a get in, win, and get the heck out of there for Detroit. Just get better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of get yourself back in bearing here. I like the other. There's no way I'm playing, a 2-touchdown spread. It's way too much. But you know what? I have no faith in Jacksonville whatsoever. But I like the under in this one, man. It feels like a game where Detroit just has the ball all day long.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned all the interceptions last week. 5 interceptions for Jared Goff on, Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football last week. But they're still able to win that game over, not a bad team playing the Houston Texans. What did that type of win for Detroit tell you about that team?
It told me that two things. Number one, that they're together and they keep fighting. And number two, that they remembered from 3 years ago. I remember Dan Campbell's in the locker room, tears in his eyes, because the Lions had lost 14 games in a row by one score, right? And it was like, fellas, if you just keep fighting and keep believing, I promise you, it'll turn around.
Yeah.
And you know what? It did. That's a game that they won 3 years ago, man. And, the fact that they did it, it just goes to show that, this team is together, man, and they trust their coaches, and they have really good coaches, both head coach, OC, DC. This is just a team firing on all cylinders. That was, I know it seems like, it's a great comeback, and it's cool, and it certainly is. That's a huge, huge locker room boost. I'm just impressed with everything that they do.
Yeah, I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this game. Ravens and Steelers in Pittsburgh. Steelers came off a really nice win over the Commanders last week, came down to the end. But right now, Baltimore on the road, a 3-point favorite. That total at 48.5. Do you think the Ravens can go and play a team like Pittsburgh and win this game on the road? What do you think about this game?
Yeah, all right, so this one, man, this is a must-win, weirdly enough, for Baltimore, right? They've got to get themselves, they can't keep, I say keep falling behind. It's not like they're doing that, but look at the division, man, the Steelers and what they're doing. And look, bettors they paid mortgages off of the Pittsburgh Steelers under Mike Tomlin being a home underdog, right? But I like Baltimore. What I love more is the under in this game, because I think both teams and both head coaches are going to say, the best defense that I have against your offense is my offense. And you can't score if you don't get the ball. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I can see a lot of drives that are just 10, 11, 12 plays The Ravens defense, the pass defense, is not good at all. The run defense is excellent. So, yeah, man, like, I feel under big at this one.
Yeah. 325 on CBS, Chiefs and Bills. The Chiefs, we know what they've done, 9-0 this season, but I think it was earlier this week I saw a stat that I believe only one game this season they've won by more than 7 points. Taken on the road against a Bills team that's 8-2 this year. Right now, Buffalo a 2-point favorite, that total at 46.5. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, so, I mean, look, there's two ways to go about it, okay? When is this, like, and I'm not even going to say luck, but, like, this run for Kansas City that they're on, like, they just found every way to win a game, right? Like, Buffalo needs to get this dub, but I think that all the pressure's on Buffalo here, man. And I think you're going to see the public bet the Bills. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Why would I stop betting them now? And you're going to give me points to do it? Yeah, give me Kansas City, man. And, you know, this is one of those bets where going in, if I lose, I'm fine with it, right? Like, it's like I've made money on the Chiefs week after week after week. Until they tell me to stop, I'm going to keep doing it, man. If you're going to give me points, I'll take them.
Yeah. Let's go over to some of these college games. A really good slate in college, but I will jump to your team, the Tennessee Volunteers, a big game for them on the road against Georgia. Georgia coming off that loss last week against Ole Miss. Feels like a game they really need to win. When you saw the playoff rankings earlier this week, had them at number 12, which meant they were out with Boise State getting an automatic spot. Right now, Georgia, a 9.5-point favorite. That total at 47.5. Still not sure about Nico, if he'll be able to go or not with that concussion. What do you see in this game?
Yeah, so that's the biggest question. All right, is Nico going to play, right? So that's why we see such a large spread. But I'm surprised that it still is this high because you look at Georgia and ATN is out at running back. That's a big, like, I love the under in this game. And I know that it doesn't sound exciting, but I think that you're going to see both coaches look at it in the first half and say, look, we can't win it in the first half, but we can certainly lose it in the first half. And, all right, with Nico, even if he does play, okay, let's just say that he does, all right, you could lose him at any moment, right? So it's like you're going to see Tennessee come out with a pretty safe offense. If they throw it, it's going to be getting out quickly, a lot of running the football. And on Georgia's side, too, man, like, Bet got smashed last week by Ole Miss. And this Tennessee defense is no joke either. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, like, I say all that to say, like, I think in the first half early, you're going to see both coaches just play protect on their quarterback because if either one loses their QB, it's a wrap, man. So I like the under in this game. And that total's dropping, by the way. It went from like 49 to 47. Oh, wow. And I bet it's going to keep going.
I'm sure it will. LSU on the road tomorrow, 2:30 against Florida. Obviously, a Florida team season has not gone the way they had hoped it would, but a really tough schedule. DJ Lagway will be back after missing a game. LSU on the other side dropped a heartbreaker, really got beat from start to finish against Alabama at home last week. LSU right now a 3.5-point favorite on the road in the Swamp. That total 55.5. Do you like anything in this game?
Yeah, I'm going to go LSU, and I think that this is a pride game for them, right? Like, and Florida, I get the quarterback situation last week. Florida, I think Florida's quit. I think that their team has quit. I think their locker room's had enough. I know that the coach is coming back, but there's just nothing for me to believe in Florida, and there is with LSU. Like, I understand that Brian Kelly is going to be hard on the boys. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to have them up. So this is more of a play of I don't want anything to do with betting with Florida. They can surprise me, and I get that, but there's just nothing to believe in. After last week, I mean, it's a wrap.
Yeah. Is there a play in college football that you really like this weekend that we weren't able to get to?
Yeah, I'll tell you this, man. Tonight, all right, I like Arizona -2 against Houston. Now, Houston's playing for bowl eligibility. If Arizona had something to play for, there's no chance I would bet them because I don't trust them at all. But when you have something to play for, that's the only time that they ever show up, man. So I'm going to play Arizona -2. I also like the over of UCLA to Washington at 46.5. Both those games, I think they're going to be kind of fun tonight.
Yeah, no, that'll be a good slate. I think, 4 games tonight in college football, so should be some good action tonight leading into what should be a great day tomorrow. Alan, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy this weekend, and we'll talk to you again next Friday.
Hey, you too, brother. Appreciate you having me, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. Alan Bell joining us from the AB3 and Driving the Line to talk some picks. He likes a lot in both the NFL and college football. His favorite bet in the NFL, that Minnesota and Tennessee under 39.5. College, he really likes a couple games tonight. Arizona -2 against Houston, and then the UCLA Washington over, another game that takes place tonight. Let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, talk some Memphis Grizzlies. They're on the road tonight against the Golden State Warriors, their first game of the NBA Cup, and then Sunday night back home against the Denver Nuggets. We'll talk about that next on Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
You can live out your MasterChef dream when you find a professional on Angie to tackle your dream kitchen remodel. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
Simple, smooth, and every sip is easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does your favorite mixers. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent out to a few friends, then taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff, just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume, mainly 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Grizz Nation, don't miss your Memphis Grizzlies this Sunday at 5 p.m. when they host the Denver Nuggets on HBCU Night, presented by Pinnacle Financial Partners. The first 3,000 fans will receive a Grizzly City Edition lettering patch. Get your tickets today by visiting Grizzlies.com. At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli locations at Ridgeway and Park Place Center, Poplar Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years. of Cashew Crunch, of Heavenly Hash, of Turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Brian Gates.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Connor with you. No Brett. He's going to join us a little later when we talk to Ty. He's real excited to talk Arkansas and Texas. So he's going to join us then. I believe he's going to join us in the 5 o'clock hour as well when we make our picks during Friday football forecast. But we got to talk Grizzlies right now as they're back in action tonight against the Golden State Warriors. It'll be the first game for them in the NBA Cup. So we'll see a different court. The game will matter in terms of NBA Cup. Golden State's already played one game. They played Tuesday night against Dallas. And I'm curious to see what we see from this Grizzlies team. I thought a hard-fought game against the Lakers. We talked about it a lot yesterday. Just came up a little short. You had vintage LeBron James out there with a triple-double. And that's kind of hard to that's hard to beat. Especially on the road. LA's been great at home this year. So now against Golden State's been really good to start this season. I mean, Steph is looking like, vintage Steph out there. So this could be a tricky game for them. I will say Grizzlies PR put out last night the status report for Grizzlies and Warriors tonight. And how about this? Desmond Bane, Brandon Clark, and Vince Williams all listed as questionable for tonight's game. And a lot of people would know the Grizzlies, in terms of how they kind of said everything, out is definitely out. Doubtful usually means they're out. Questionable is more of a game-time decision, see how they feel. Against the Lakers, both Brandon Clark and Marcus Smart were both listed as questionable. Marcus Smart played, Brandon Clark did not play. So I think a good chance we see at least one of those guys tonight, maybe a couple. There was, video of a couple of guys shooting. I think even Ja Morant shooting free throws, very stationary. And so, maybe that's good sign for Ja. Maybe he's slowly getting back. But definitely for tonight, the two biggest ones are, or I guess the three biggest ones are Brandon Clark, Desmond Bane, and Vince Williams Jr. I will also say, DeMichael Cole just put out a tweet I'm just seeing. This is what it says, and it's connected to a story. I spoke with Desmond Bane and Vince Williams Jr. this morning after shoot-around. Both players are considered game-time decisions against the Warriors. So my question to you, Connor, if Desmond Bane and Vince Williams Jr. both play tonight, what happens?
I think the Grizzlies have a great chance to win. I know for a fact Vince Williams wants his shot at Steph Curry again. He loves to guard Steph Curry. So if it's his decision, if he gets a little say in it,
then
he will be playing. I think he'll be playing.
Get me out there.
Yeah.
I think both of them will. I think both of them will, love competition, obviously, and I think we'll want to get out there in a game like this. But you look at those injuries, a right oblique strain for Desmond. Vince, it's his tibia stress reaction is what it's listed. A tibial stress reaction. I'm no doctor.
Not at all. I'm not close to a doctor.
I don't know what that means. But, it's certainly something that's kept him out. But, if both those guys can go tonight, I think, you feel a lot better about tonight's game. Obviously, when you have those type of guys, and I certainly want to see Vince Williams with a more healthy roster. Because last year, nobody was healthy when he was, shining for the Grizzlies. At times, there were some guys in there. I know him and Desmond Bane, played a lot together last year when Desmond was healthy. But if you could have Desmond Bane, Vince Williams, Jaren, Zach Edey, and I don't know how those two guys coming back would change the lineup. I don't know who that third starter would be. I guess either Scottie Pippen Jr. or Marcus Smart would be your starting point guard. So, I mean, I would like to see what that rotation looks like.
Personally, I feel comfortable with anyone who's out there. I love how everyone's played. Everyone has shined at least a couple games this year, especially Jalen Wells. I love what Jalen Wells has been doing.
Jalen Wells has been really good. And I think that's, another question. Jalen Wells, is he able to – how is he obviously getting a lot of minutes right now? Can he produce like he's producing off the bench? We saw it very early that he was able to do it off the bench. Can he still do that after being a starter, then moving back to the bench? Maybe we see that tonight. I don't know. Maybe you see Vince – I'm sure you see probably Vince Williams come off the bench at the very least. Mm-hmm. Desmond, I would say probably starts if he's able to go tonight. But, we'll have to wait and see. We'll know here in a couple of hours what it looks like, if they're able to go or not. So tonight, Golden State, road game. It should be a good game. Do we know what the line is for that game? Do we have that?
I don't know right now, but what do you think the minutes restrictions are going to be?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I mean, for Vince, it's probably going to be pretty tight.
Because that was a big deal, like the first 4 games of the season.
With Jaren and Ja. Mm-hmm. I think for Vince, it'll be pretty tight just because he's been injured. He missed all preseason. He missed, all the preseason games, and now he's missed the start of the season. So I think it'll be pretty tight on him. For Desmond, I don't know. Desmond's only been out a couple weeks now.
8-10 games?
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't think it will be that restricted on him. Right now, Golden State, a 7.5-point favorite tonight. So, pretty...
I like the Grizzlies on that.
Pretty heavy favorite.
I like the Grizzlies.
I kind of like the Grizzlies in that one as well. Certainly, if you like the Grizzlies, you get it now before Desmond.
Yes, if Desmond Bane comes back, that'll...
Or Brandon Clark. Any of those 3 guys, I think, moves the line a little bit. Certainly, some move the line more than
Desmond
others.
Bane moves the line the most.
Desmond Bane definitely moves the line the most. And then Sunday night, before we speak again, we'll see the Grizzlies at home against the Nuggets. Brett and I talked a lot early this week about this 4-game stretch is going to be really tough. You had Lakers on the road, you now have Golden State on the road, and then you have back-to-back home games against the Denver Nuggets. Denver Nuggets, it hasn't been a great start to the season for them. I think they would want more wins on the season so far, but they're certainly not a bad team. We know how good this Denver Nuggets team and the quality of players they have. They're 7-3 right now. I mean, they've been really.
They've won
good.
the last 5.
Is that right? I was about to say. I remember seeing.
They started
earlier,
3-2
that's
or
what
2
it was.
2-3.
2-3. Yeah, I remember seeing earlier that they were kind of struggling, but they've turned it around. So that's 4 really tough games. You've lost to the Lakers, but close game. I know that doesn't really count for much. Now let's see what you do against Golden State, and then you got 2 games. The first one just being a regular season game against Denver. That second one on a Tuesday night will be an NBA Cup game. So, see what you do. I think you feel good if you go 1-3. You feel you feel great if you go 2-2. Certainly now with that loss, you feel fantastic if you go 2-2. Because that means you'd be 3-1.
Then we have the 76ers after that.
2-1 the rest of the way.
76ers are after that.
Yeah, so it's not easy.
I mean, but the 76ers could be 2 completely different teams with who they put out
exactly, and who knows how healthy they'll be and who's able to play in that game. So it'll be interesting to see. Monday, I don't know what the reactions will be if they go 0-2 these next 2 games. I'm pretty sure I know what the reaction will be if they go 1-1, and it'll be a lot of happy talk. Everyone will be excited if they can go 2-0 these 2 games. But super early in a long season, it's definitely not time to overreact for better or for worse with this team. But let's go ahead and wrap up this first hour and get to a break. And when we come back, we're talking more wagering. Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. He joins us next.
Around
this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Did you know there are so many roofing companies in Memphis that I don't even know them all? So that begs the question, which one should you choose? So I thought I'd give you a little background about me. My grandfather was a World War II Marine. My father worked for the University of Memphis for nearly 30 years. My mother, a pianist at Raleigh Baptist Church. Seems like forever. I went to Brownsville Road, Craigmont, and Bartlett High School, class of 81. We support the local school systems, youth athletics, and believe in what St. Jude and Le Bonheur stand for. I'm a Tiger and Grizz fan. The point? Memphis is my home. Five Ash Roofing will be around if you ever have a problem with the service we provide. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, with deep local ties in our community. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
You know the great thing about having an event catered by Central Barbecue?
What was that?
They turn any event into a cookout.
You stole that directly from their website.
Well, I didn't expect you to have looked at their website.
I've got events coming up. It's the holiday season, and there's no better way to make things easier than to have Central Barbecue cater it.
They have everything. Box lunches, meat platters, nacho bar kits.
And half and full sheet pans of their traditional barbecue sides. I'm looking at the website right now. You're quoting it verbatim.
Not exactly verbatim.
Word for word. This is a new level of lazy even by your standards.
That doesn't make it any less true. You can't beat Central Barbecue catering.
It's just plagiarism.
Thinking about buying a lab-grown diamond versus a natural diamond? Before you make a decision, get the facts at Genesis Diamonds.
We have professionals, certified diamond graders, people who have been in the industry for 20, 30 plus years, who are able to educate.
Nadia Ganizer at Genesis says Genesis carries both natural and lab-grown diamonds and can meet all the pros and cons.
So if they have a question about lab-grown diamond value, we will explain that. We will explain the difference in price. We will explain what to expect in the future.
Nadia says beware. A lot of jewelry stores are using the popularity of lab-grown diamonds to outrageously mark up these stones.
Some retailers charge unreasonable amounts for lab-grown diamonds, and I think that they do take advantage of customers.
But at Genesis, their low price margin philosophy is the same for natural and lab-grown.
Our price is still
Get the education and value you deserve every day on every diamond. Genesis Diamonds at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. We had some EMS vehicles up against the wall over here on 240 East at Popular. They were over here long enough to really slow down traffic on this side of town. Again, it's really slow between Billmore Parkway and Popular on 240 going eastbound as it tries to build now down 240 East from Mill Branch to 385 Billmore Parkway going outbound. Affordable, compassionate veterinarian care for your animal at the Humane Society of Memphis, Shelby County. Check out their website. You can see all the animals that are available for adoption. Log on now, memphishumane.org. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10. Joining the guys every Friday is college football historian and Vegas legend Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insiders, CBS Sports, and his own website, fansports.net. With over 30 years on Memphis radio, your favorite captain in sports talk, here's Bruce Marshall with Bryant and Brett.
Bruce Marshall joins us from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. We're going to talk a whole lot of wagering with him, get some picks for college football and the NFL games over the weekend. But I want to throw this out there before we start talking with Bruce. We gave away a 2-pack of tickets earlier. We've got 2 more packs of tickets to give away, both 4-packs, so 4 tickets to each winner. These are just regular tickets for the Tigers game tomorrow night against UAB. It should be a great evening of football with it being senior night for those seniors at the University of Memphis, a game against UAB. So if you want to go and see the Tigers versus UAB tomorrow night, send off those seniors in a special way, hit up the Sissy's Log Cabin. Call right now, 901-360-8255. The first 2 callers to 901-360-8255, you're going to Memphis versus UAB tomorrow night. Let's go ahead and get to Bruce Marshall. Bruce, thanks so much for joining us. A lot of games to get to over the weekend, but I just mentioned that Tigers and UAB game tomorrow night. Do you like anything in this game right now? Memphis, a 16.5-point favorite, the total at 62.5.
Well, Bryant, the one thing about UAB has been so wildly erratic for Trent Dilfer, and mostly on the negative side this year. But we saw a couple of times last year, the South Florida game, and then it's a few weeks ago, the Tulsa game, where they just really blew the doors off the other side. They played Arkansas pretty tough in September at Fayetteville, but on other days they just don't do anything. And the defense has really got some problems. Tulane put over 70 on them. I think Memphis can get them tomorrow. If Memphis shows up and plays this game, they've played some close games. They have not been a great favorite this year. But this is a spot I think I just don't trust UAB. I'd be too scared to go with them. So I would rather go against them here and give Coach Silverfield a shot, and Seth Hennigan could put up some really big numbers tomorrow. So I think I'll give Memphis a look.
Yeah, Tigers tomorrow night should be a lot of fun with senior night. If they can get, if they can cover this spread, get a big win over UAB, everybody will leave the game happy. That people dressed in blue, that is. Let's get to some of these other college football games this weekend. The big one this weekend, it's got to be Tennessee on the road against Georgia. Right now, Georgia a 9.5-point favorite, 47.5 the total. We still don't know the availability of Nico for tomorrow night's game. What do you like in this game, and how much will Nico's availability move this line, and how much will it change your thoughts on this game?
Well, it looks like this line hasn't moved too much. I think there's probably a big drop. I mean, Gaston Moore has been in the program 4 years. He's only taken a handful of snaps, though, and he had to come in Mississippi State game after Nico went down. It's funny because there were some other games here. The Missouri game with Brady Cook's status up in the air, the Pitt game with Holstein's status. They were both off the board in Vegas this morning. I've been on the road since this morning, but when I left Vegas this morning, those games were both off the board. They did not take this game off the board, though, so I'm not sure. Maybe they think Nico's going to play. But, concussion protocols, that's dicey. I mean, I'm not sure if he's going to be in there or not. A couple of thoughts here. One, series history. It's been since 2016 that Tennessee beat Georgia, and that was that game where you had dueling Hail Marys in the last 10 seconds. Jacob Eason hit one for Georgia, 10 seconds left, thought they were going to win. Josh Dobbs came back at his own Hail Mary in the last play. It was Juwan Jennings on the 49ers who actually caught that. And that's 8 years ago now. And 34-31 Tennessee. That is the last time Tennessee won in this series. And not only has Georgia dominated since then, Kirby hasn't won a game versus Tennessee since then by less than 14 points. So, I mean, and most of the wins much bigger than that. Last year was 38-10. So this has been a lot lopsided series for Georgia. Tennessee hasn't allowed more than 19 points in any game this year. That was the game it lost up in Fayetteville. But, Nico, his numbers have not been all that great. I'm assuming he's going to be in there. If he's not, Gaston Moore's going to have a lot of trouble. So I don't know that I trust Tennessee out on the road here. Georgia is really, now this is a point of no return. Maybe a team with 3 losses gets in the playoff. I wouldn't want to, risk that, though, if I were Georgia. This is a game they got to win. And I will say this, Carson Beck has been disappointing this year. He's got 12 picks. I don't know if there's a quarterback in the country who's got more than 12 picks that I've seen. And the defense isn't quite as dominant. Etienne is probably going to miss the game tomorrow, top running back. So they got some issues. But I will say this, Georgia, Bryant, when its back was really to the wall the last time, was the Texas game. And they really came out in the first half and looked great. They also looked great when they had to come back against Alabama back in late September, the second half of that game. So they've had 2 halves this year where I think they played as good as anybody in the country. I have rarely seen them got beat up physically like they did last week by Ole Miss. I'm going to count on them bouncing back here, and whether it's Nico or especially if it's Gaston Moore quarterback, I do not trust Tennessee's offense out on the road here. We saw it happen at Arkansas. I think Kirby gets them again tomorrow. I'm going to lay the points to Georgia and see what happens.
Clemson, another big favorite. Clemson on the road this weekend against Pitt. Right now, Clemson 12-point favorite. That total at 52.5. An early game, our time here in Memphis, 11 a.m. kick. Do you trust Clemson to cover 12 points on the road? What do you think about this one?
I could there, and that number, it looks like it's moved up a bit. So it seems like Holstein's probably out for Pitt. So we'll go with Yarnell, the backup at quarterback. He has played a little bit in the past, but Holstein's been sort of the key guy for Pitt. Pitt is also losing some altitude here lately. They got a couple losses in a row. They really got boat raced at SMU. They lost at home last week to Virginia. It looks like, and Pitt was sort of, pinballing its way through, undefeated there, through October, but they had a lot of close wins. Dabo Klubnik has put up some really good numbers since the Georgia game. Dabo has been, when he's had a chance, he's been able to extend the margins. He hasn't been afraid to do that. So if it is indeed Yarnell the backup quarterback, which it looks to be the case, I would not trust Pitt. I mean, Pitt has not looked good his last couple games, and Clemson is still, in the mix here. They're going to good chance to play in the East. They'll probably be in the ACC title game. They could be in the playoff. But they've got that one conference loss to Louisville, but now Miami's got a loss, and they could be Clemson SMU in the championship game. Dabo might have the last laugh after all this year. I would probably lay the points with Clemson tomorrow. I think Pitt with the backup quarterback, a little scary for me.
In Fayetteville, Arkansas tomorrow, Texas comes to town. Two teams that used to be conference mates. They are now conference mates again in the SEC. Right now, Texas a 12.5-point favorite on the road against Arkansas. Another early game for both of those teams. What do you like in this one?
Brian, old guys like Brett and myself remember this when it really meant something.
Yeah.
So it's actually kind of nice for us to see these two together again playing, just like it'll be nice to see Texas and Texas A&M in a couple weeks. So this is one of the good things about Texas coming to the SEC. Boy, the schedule is really broken well for Texas, but I'm not sure about this week. Now, I hear the word from Fayetteville is Taylor Green is probably going to play. Leg injury. If Arkansas played last week, he might not have been in there because he got hurt 2 weeks ago, but it looks like he will play tomorrow. And when he's been good, he's been pretty good this year. He looks like, he has, 3 weeks ago, that huge game in Mississippi State. He knows what Petrino wants to do with his offense. Speaking of Petrino and Sam Pittman in particular, Bryant, he might need one more of these big wins to feel better about sticking around for next year. And Arkansas is not bowl eligible yet. He's got one against Tennessee. The problem was a couple of those losses, the LSU and Ole Miss losses, in front of the home folks. They really got boat raced in those games. So this is very important tomorrow for Arkansas. I am not still sold on Texas. A couple things. One, last week, dismissed that. Florida's playing its third quarterback. So they were obviously handicapped in that game. I cannot get out of my mind last year. And by the way, a couple weeks ago, Vanderbilt hung around in that game in Nashville against Texas. Yeah. But last year, down the stretch, when they were out on the road, still in the Big 12, similar team, though, years of quarterback and all that. Teams like Houston and TCU, which were very modest last year, very average, really gave Texas a fight last year on the road. And this is another one of these spots, Bryant, we're in mid-November now. And these teams, highly ranked teams, these top 10 teams going out on the road, laying around 2 touchdowns against competent opposition that really circling this date and targeting the ranked team. It's not just Texas this week. It's Oregon at Wisconsin, Boise at San Jose. I think it's very dicey for these favorites in this sort of game. And Arkansas, for those of us who remember 1969, this is big, and I think Arkansas's got a chance to make this thing really close tomorrow. So I'm going to take the points. I don't know if they can win it, but you're getting nearly 2 TDs, and Taylor Green's apparently in there. I'm going to give Arkansas a look.
I like it. That'd be fun. I'm talking to Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. A really interesting game with kind of the off the field stories, Boston College and SMU. On Boston College's side, they benched Castellanos, and he decided to enter the transfer portal, basically quit on the team after he was benched last week. And now SMU, on the flip side of that, number 14 in the country, they drop a spot in the college football playoff polls. I'm sure they want to have a convincing win against Boston College to kind of show the college football playoff committee that they are a team that should be in the top 12. Right now, SMU a massive favorite at home, 18.5. Can they go out there and get a dominant win and cover the spread, or will Boston College keep it close?
I don't know that Boston College is that bad. Now, Castellanos is, he was more of a runner, and Grayson James in there now. But I mean, Bill O'Brien's not going to make this switch out of spite. I mean, he must have thought that's what he had to do here. So I would sort of trust O'Brien. If Castellanos wanted to leave, so be it. I don't know internally what that's going to do to the team. Interestingly, this is a rematch of the bowl game at Fenway Park last year. Now, SMU had a lot of guys not playing in that game, and BC won. BC was a pretty good underdog in that game, won that thing outright. So it is a rematch of that. So some revenge for SMU. They have the switch at quarterback earlier in the year has worked out really well for Rhett Lashley, and I know they are lurking there. They'll have their chance. It looks like they're en route to play in the ACC title game. They win that, they're going to be in the 12. But this is one of these, you got to, really pummel BC. BC's not that bad. And like I said, I can't think that this quarterback change on the performance-wise is going to make that much difference. If O'Brien thinks James is a better chance, I would trust O'Brien here that maybe he knows more than I do. Yeah. So I think I'd take BC plus the points. Not one of my favorite games because there's stuff going on, but that's another big slug of points against a decent team. Yeah, and SMU, that's a lot of lumber to chop, but tomorrow.
Sure is. LSU, after that loss to Alabama at home last week, they have to go on the road to Florida. Florida gets DJ Lagway back this weekend. They're 4-5 on the season. But right now, LSU only a 3.5-point favorite on the road. What do you like in this one?
Yeah, Lagway is going to play. That's big. I mean, you can go Napier had two quarterbacks this year. He didn't have three, though. So, I mean, when you had to get down to one or the third, they're in trouble. So Lagway's back, and I think, that gives – I mean, Florida had played pretty darn well, even though they lost some close games. And they also beat Kentucky 4 weeks ago, really big in Gainesville, with Lagway doing a lot of good work. So you can make a case for Florida here. I don't know what to make of LSU. I don't want to say the teams quit, Bryant, but LSU sure got discombobulated last week by Alabama. And that's 2 games in a row where they really had – didn't function very well at all against A&M and Alabama. So I think their playoff hopes are pretty much out. Nussmeier hasn't quite progressed the way I thought he would. The best thing about last week was at the game day at Baton Rouge, 2 signs stuck out to me. Best things about the LSU game from their perspective. Okay. One guy had a sign up there and said, Bama can't even beat Rice, 0-3. That's very clever because they hadn't played Rice in 68 years, but they are 0-3 against Rice. And another LSU fan put a sign up that said, "We want Bandy." So now they put those signs away after the game for sure. I actually might take Florida here. I think LSU's kind of a negative right now. So if Lagway's in there, I'll give Florida a look.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one. Last college game I really want to get to is a top 25 matchup. Missouri heading to South Carolina. South Carolina, a 2-touchdown favorite in this game, 14-point favorite. The total at 41.5. After the game last week, Eli Drinkwitz on television saying we're coming for the playoffs, and South Carolina's been playing really good football lately with an upset win over Texas A&M, and then last week beating Vanderbilt on the road in Nashville. But now South Carolina, massive favorite. What do you like in this one?
Well, Brady Cook, now that number suggests maybe he's not going to play this morning. The last I heard, it was still up in the air with him. I had heard earlier in the week he was probably going to be back. But maybe not. Maybe they're going to have to go with Pine again. Pine didn't play all that bad against Oklahoma last week, but the Sooners really kicked that game away against Mizzou. Missouri has had a couple of games out on the road, the A&M game and the Bama game. And the Bama game, Cook only played a very little bit. 3 weeks ago, or they really got hammered, 41-10 and 34-0. So Eli, I guess technically they have a shot still if they can win out here. And some other things happen, but this is not a top 12 team this year. I actually think, Brian, South Carolina is a top 12 or top 10 team. I don't know if they're going to make the playoff. The 3 losses are probably going to keep them out. The LSU game, they're going to be kicking themselves about. But you saw them last week, and so did I, really physically beat up Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt had played some pretty good teams this year, Virginia Tech, Alabama, Texas, where they didn't get outclassed. They got outclassed. They got hammered last week. It was a big, mean, nasty defense. Lenore Sellers can do some things now at quarterback. He's progressed, and Rocket Sanders is healthy at running back and running up a storm like he did in his best days at Arkansas. I'm taking South Carolina. If these guys somehow got in the playoff, I will guarantee you nobody would want to play them now. Shane Beamer has done a really good job. This team is really good, and I'm not sure about Mizzou right now, especially with the quarterback situation up in the air.
Yeah, he's done a really nice job with this team. What is your favorite college game or games that we haven't gotten to?
Couple of funky ones. By the way, I am on my way. I'm going to be watching Louisville and Stanford tomorrow.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm on my way up to Stanford right now, taking grandson to the game. So I'll see ACC.
The ACC matchup, yeah.
Yeah, that's not one of my favorites, but I mean that's where I'll be. How about this one? Air Force. Look what Air Force has done especially last week. Finally, they look like Air Force again. Troy Calhoun switched to the sophomore James Jones at quarterback here a couple weeks ago. He sparked the team. 344 yards rushing against Fresno. They controlled the ball over 45 minutes. That finally looks like Air Force to me. And now they welcome Oregon State, comes in here. The season has evaporated for Oregon State. Before the bye week, they got boat raced at Cal. They come back off the bye, very flat at home against San Jose and get beat. This team looks like it's packed it in. To me, they still got Boise and Washington State on deck, but there's really no bowl carrot there. There's no conference for them to win. And now they got to go to Air Force at 6,200 feet for potential dicey weather to deal with the option. Air Force going to win this game. They're a slight dog. I'd play them on the money line, too. So I like that one. And one other one tomorrow at night in the Mountain West, San Diego State is not a vintage San Diego State, and UNLV is really good this year, but 21 points looks too much to me. UNLV is one of these teams, Brian, early in the year, that Fresno game, everybody watched on a Friday night, 59-14, and that distorted the perception of UNLV, and people saw that Barry Odom had this really good point spread mark up to that point. Since then, though, they've only covered 1 of 5 games.
Oh, wow.
They just got these numbers up too high. San Diego State has some balance. They got a guy who's ready to rush for 1,000 yards in Cooper. And O'Neal, the freshman quarterback, is starting to throw the ball around the yard. 21 is a big slug of points, and I think San Diego State can handle them that.
I like it. What do you like in the NFL this weekend?
Well, Cincinnati is playing the Chargers on Sunday night. And let me ask you this. What do Gardner Minshew, Bryce Young, Bo Nix, Spencer Rattler, Jameis Winston, and Will Levis have in common? These are the 6 quarterbacks who started against the Chargers in the games they won this season.
Really?
That is not an all-pro lineup of quarterbacks. They have been so fortunate with the schedule. I can't believe it. When they have played good teams, the Chargers, when they have played Pittsburgh, when they played Kansas City, when they played the Cardinals, they lost all 3 games, and they scored 11.7 per game in those. This team, I still think, is overrated. Cincinnati comes in here kind of desperate now. They have lost so many close games. Those 2 to Baltimore, that 1 to Kansas City. And this is the best 4-6 team I've seen in a long time. I think the Bengals go into SoFi Sunday night, win this game against the Chargers. That's my favorite game of the week.
All right, I love it. I'm curious, I don't know if you have any NBA plays today, but how are you approaching NBA Cup? Do you approach it any differently? I mean, those games Tuesday night were crazy. Do you approach the NBA Cup days any differently when you handicap the NBA?
No, I mean they paint the courts different for the
right.
NBA Cup. I don't think it matters too much. I mean, the teams, the players are still there. They treat them sort of like regular games, which they actually are.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think there's too much difference. And then we'll see. You know, they get to the playoff, I guess, in Las Vegas. I guess they're doing it in Vegas again.
Yeah, that's right.
But they got some more NBA games, NBA Cups tonight. But there are a couple NBAs tonight I might look at. And one, by the way, Orlando is playing really well, even without Banchero. This team plays defense, too.
Yeah.
4-game win streak at home. They haven't allowed more than 94. Philly comes in. Embiid looks like he's going to play tonight, but Maxey is still out. I might look at Orlando at a short price and maybe an under as well. They've been going under a lot, and so is Philly, 212.5, I think, the price. So maybe a magic under parlay there.
I love it. Well, Bruce, enjoy this weekend. Enjoy the game you're going to be attending tomorrow, and we'll talk to you again next Friday.
Thank you, Bart.
Thanks, Bruce. Bruce Marshall joining us from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net to talk some wagering and some good games. Got a lot of good action in college football and also a few games in the NBA. I just saw this, and we're going to be very guest-heavy and football-heavy the rest of the show, so I wanted to mention this before we got to a break. Shams Charania reporting that the NBA is in serious discussions on a new 4-team tournament format for the 2025 All-Star Game, sources told ESPN. The new 4-team tournament for the 2025 All-Star Game would consist of 3 teams of 8 All-Stars each and the winner of the Rising Stars game, sources said. League officials discussed the concepts in a competition committee meeting on Friday. That's kind of like what hockey does with their All-Star Game, is they kind of do a tournament format and break up the teams. I think they do 3-on-3 hockey. Would it make you more, want to watch the All-Star Game more, less, don't care? What do you think, huh?
It depends. There was one, I don't remember what year it was, maybe 2019 or 2021, something like that, that was real competitive because they had the money on the line for the charity.
That's right.
But it hasn't really kept that same energy, so it really depends on how hard they play.
Yeah, it's a good point. I don't know. I mean, this is certainly something different. I think it would maybe get eyeballs just because it is different and new and people would want to watch it. So I don't know, but it is definitely something noteworthy from the NBA, maybe some changes to the All-Star Game format. Well, we need to get to another break, and when we come back, talking Razorbacks with Ty Richardson.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous, a legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
Jenkins Floors and More invite you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
With Progressive, you get more than savings. You get access to us through our mobile app, online chat, or by phone.
Oh, I see what you're doing here, Jamie. Giving me all these ways to stay in touch so I have no excuse not to. Well, you're in luck, because this guy's in the market for a new BFF.
Actually, all our customers can contact us this way.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just kidding.
But I am always up for Taco Pizza! Jigsaw!
Progressive through the website, app, chat, or phone. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates.
When you you think about insurance and you want great value without sacrificing great service, I want you to think one place: the Eflin Insurance and the entire Eflin Insurance team. Matt and his group of professionals will access 10 leading companies to find the right home and auto program that fits your budget and your absolute needs. The Eflin Insurance team, the number 386-GER, 386-4777.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. There was a little bit of radar spotted within the last hour south of Memphis on 55 down through certain parts of DeSoto County, so be careful. Looks decent right now on 240 East. It's trying to build at times from Mill Branch all the way out to 385 Billmore Parkway as you continue on out towards Collierville. Hey, affordable, compassionate veterinarian care for your pet at the Humane Society of Memphis, Shelby County. Check out their website. You can see all the pets that are available for adoption. It's memphishumane.org. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Time to talk Razorbacks on Sportstime. Joining the guys is Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas to talk all things Hogs and SEC. On Twitter X at Ty Sports Radio, here's Ty Richardson with Bryant and Brett.
Come on, all you Razorback fans, let's stand up and call those Hogs!
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. Brett back with us to talk with Ty, even though he's off today. Wanted to talk some Razorbacks with Ty Richardson. So Ty Richardson joins us every single Friday to talk the Razorbacks. Ty, thanks so much for joining us. Another big game this weekend for the Razorbacks. Tomorrow, an early game in Fayetteville against Texas. I know we talked, earlier this year when Tennessee was in town, but what is it, Texas, first year in the SEC, coming to Fayetteville as an SEC team. What has the feeling been around town this week?
It's been better in different times, I'd say.
Sure.
Arkansas fans have watched this team get demolished by LSU and Ole Miss, albeit really good football teams, but Texas is a different week. Brett went to school and they were Southwest Conference rivals. Now they're back in the SEC. I mean, it's just a different level for Arkansas fans, and hopefully the players kind of sense that and play their guts out tomorrow.
Ty, it makes me join you on a day off. I wanted to talk Razorbacks in Texas because for my generation, for my age group, it was magical. It was everything. It probably wasn't matched by that most years with Texas, but there were some that it sure did. 55 years ago in the big shootout with President Nixon at the game and playing for it all in December 6, 1969, it sure was. Is it as big this year to Razorback fans as it was non-conference in 2021? And that win really launched the kind of the belief in Sam Pittman and Hunter Yurachek with that upset win over Sark in 21. Is it as anticipated as that year was?
I don't think it's anticipated, but you could argue it could be a bigger win because Texas then, I think, was 21. They just beat Louisiana Lafayette, and Arkansas didn't look good, I think, at Rice the week before against them at home. And then we know what happened that day is 40-21 or whatever. But leading up this week, it's not close. Now, again, things can flip. If you beat Texas in year one of them joining the league, with them being top five, that would give Sam Pittman 2 top 5 wins this year. That's a different level. I'm not predicting it. I haven't felt good about this game all week, really since they got clobbered by Ole Miss, and Jackson Dart has had the game of his life. But that's, again, things are football's played on the field, guys, not on paper, so maybe my mind will be changed tomorrow.
With the open date and the 2 weeks to get ready for this, another 11 o'clocker like Ole Miss was, the crowd and the crowd was slim at 11 o'clock for Ole Miss and the Razorbacks. It's got to be rocking. But on the field, what does Arkansas have to do to avoid another performance like Ole Miss and to try to pull the upset?
Well, it's rather simple, and most coaches will tell you just don't turn the ball over. I mean, Stats, you look at those games this season that they've lost, whether big or small, I mean, it all comes back to turnovers. I mean, Whit Weeks had the interception of his life against Arkansas, the LSU Tiger linebacker, Ole Miss forced to I mean, it's just, you got to control. The Oklahoma State game fell apart because of turnovers. If they don't turn the ball over and they can move the ball a little bit, they'll be in this football game. But if that Texas defense gets after them and Taylor's getting sacked and forced fumbles and whatnot, it's going to be over by the end of the first half, in my opinion.
With that, if it's getting blasted, do we get to it's over for Sam Pittman, period?
I don't think so. And Seth, I think you just got to look at what happened in Gainesville, Florida, less than a week ago. Billy Napier getting the vote of confidence from Scott Strickland. I think that a lot of athletic departments not necessarily aren't out of money, but they're preparing for this eventual revenue distribution. And I don't think that they want to be in the midst of a huge buyout while trying to navigate that new tentacle of college football. He's going to win next week against Louisiana Tech. They'll be 6-6 probably by the end of the year. Win a bowl game 7-6, 3-1 improvement from last year. Not necessarily what all Arkansas fans want, but it is improvement. And then they could maybe build on that in 2025, even with a fire me schedule that includes going to Memphis and likely probably losing / playing their guts down in the Liberty Bowl. That's going to be a heck of a game, fellas.
Yeah, that's right. What do you think of this Texas team? Do you think it's at the top of the SEC? I know they just have the one loss at home to Georgia, but when I see Georgia in person, I've not seen Texas in person. When I watch Texas on TV, I think they're good, but I've seen better Texas teams, I think. What do you think?
I think they're good, but it's so hard to tell. The one opponent they played this year, they got clobbered at home, and then Vanderbilt took them to the wire in Nashville. That was a good game. Vanderbilt gave them everything they wanted in that one. So I think it's really difficult because Michigan's not good. Vanderbilt is very competitive. They didn't look great against South Carolina, but that team's rolling right now. So, I mean, you have a narrow win, and you got your butt kicked by Georgia. So, and not to say that Arkansas is in the same caliber of Georgia. I don't even know if they could beat Vanderbilt, to be honest. But you just don't know about Texas, and that could hurt them in the college football playoff or the SEC championship game because they will play a team that first game either in Atlanta or the first game of the playoff that is waiting on them and that has been battle-tested, I think, guys.
Boy, Texas really got that welcome to the SEC, bright, new, shiny toy schedule from Greg Sankey, didn't they?
How do you let that happen, Stats? I mean, really.
Well, we know why.
We talked about it media days. The whole concept of the SEC is, well, we're bigger than Texas. We don't need to succumb to their demands. And then you look at Joe Castiglione at Oklahoma and what Chris Del Conte and Texas received. It's 9 days. And it's not hard to predict who's going to be good. Now, I know Vanderbilt came out of the woodwork, but it's not that difficult to say, well, this team's probably going to be pretty good. This team's probably going to be pretty bad. You aren't accurate to a T. Like, you can't predict every win and loss. But for them to avoid so many opponents, for them to avoid LSU, for them to avoid Ole Miss, for them to avoid Alabama. I know they recently played, but that hasn't stopped scheduling before. Frankly, it hurts the league in terms of, like, just television viewability. Like, this weekend, for example, guys, not a good weekend of college football in the SEC. You got Georgia and Tennessee. LSU and Florida is usually good. It's not going to be this year. And you got Arkansas and Texas. And that's it. I think Missouri's going to get their doors blown off by South Carolina, to be honest. So it's not a good weekend for the SEC, and scheduling Texas against a better opponent this year would have helped that.
It felt like before the season we had a group of college quarterbacks, not just necessarily SEC quarterbacks, but it felt like we had a group of quarterbacks that was kind of the elite quarterbacks this year going in. Quinn Ewers was one of those guys in that group, but has dealt with injuries this season, kind of like has been the case back to last year, maybe even the year before, has dealt with injuries in the past. What are your thoughts on Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers?
He's a really good player when he's healthy, Brian. Yeah. You know how some guys just have the worst luck when it comes to health? He seems to be in that camp. He's been injured.
Yep.
Yeah, he's been injured, I believe, every single year of college with the exception of that first year that he redshirted at Ohio State. And that's a real issue if you're an NFL scout and someone that's possibly thinking about bringing him onto your team. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea about his character. I know he's got a cannon of an arm, but guy can't stay healthy. And I don't wish ill will on injuries to even my worst enemy when it comes to an opponent in the Southeastern Conference. But a healthy Quinn Ewers is going to rip Arkansas apart come tomorrow, I think. If he's not healthy or something happens from that game, that's a little different. But it's really, I'm not going to call them insurmountable odds, but they're really difficult odds that Arkansas faces tomorrow against the Longhorns.
How much 1981 have you heard, and are you tired of hearing it?
It's crazy stats. I know that you were a freshman that year. I actually we're talking with my Gary Anderson tomorrow at 6:30 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Gary's like, I'll be up already. It's like, Gary, I don't want to wake up that early. And he's like, nope, I'll be up. I'll do it. So the Arkansas running back that ran roughshod that day is going to join us. But 2021 was a big deal for the younger generation. 2000 Cotton Bowl. You mentioned 64 a short while ago. We had Coach Ken Hatfield on with us this morning. So there's a lot of nostalgia during this game. And, guys, let's just hope something wild happens tomorrow to add another game to the record book.
Ty, I love this game. Ken Hatfield, probably with the most famous punt return in Razorbacks history. The punt return down in Austin in 64. The Razorbacks got them in 65 in Fayetteville. Only 4 wins all time in Fayetteville for the Razorbacks against Texas. But this is the one. Have you felt the generational divide? Do you feel the over 50 people really loving this, and the over 60s and the over 70s? We all really love it.
Oh, yeah. There's a little step up from kids around my age, guys, gals, and then the grade below, because they just don't understand it. I mean, stats, when you're in school, we play these guys every year. And now you play them every once in a while. You'll play them next year in Austin. That'll be a game that some Arkansas fans will make the trek down towards. But it's just a reminder of the just hatred of the Longhorns. And Oklahoma fans and several Southwest Conference teams feel the same way. We know, of course, the A&M Aggies are excited to play these guys again because they hate them too. It's just reinvigorating.
Everybody hates them.
Oh, yeah. And it's part of it. And like SEC teams are like, oh, now we realize why everyone hates Texas, because the arrogance, there's no team in college sports that has as arrogant and frankly, as misguided fans as the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah, they have all the money, and they love to tell us. But the trophy case is really bare, and thank goodness for Vince Young, and back to James Street in that '69 game, or it would really be empty. Ty Richardson, our guest on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line from ESPN Radio in Northwest Arkansas in Fort Smith. Real quick, give me your quick thoughts of what you thought, how you thought the College Football Playoff Committee, what it rendered on Tuesday night, and how do you think it stacks up for the SEC?
Well, we talked about it earlier this year. The SEC hasn't done itself any favors in non-conference. Now, I think it's more about teams just beating up on one another than maybe initially. But do we really think? I know we're in Memphis, Tennessee right now talking. Do we really think that the likes of Indiana, Penn State, maybe Ohio State and Oregon, but do we really think that they could run in the SEC and only just have 2 losses? I don't think anyone believes that. So if the College Football Playoff Committee truly believes that the likes of some Big Ten teams, even that might end up with 1 loss like Indiana, are supremely better than a 2-loss SEC team, I think we're going to have to rethink this whole situation, and I'll cry out for BCS just for 12 teams once again. It would be really shameful if some SEC teams were left out just because they had 2 losses relative to a 1-loss, much lesser Big Ten or other program.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's going to be a fun environment tomorrow morning for that Arkansas-Texas game. Hopefully Arkansas can pull the big upset. I mean, that would cause a lot of chaos in the SEC if Arkansas can pull this upset off. Ty, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the weekend, enjoy the game tomorrow, and we'll do it again next Friday.
That sounds like a plan. Stats, appreciate you coming on even on your day off. You're just a workaholic, you, man.
Always for you. Always talk Arkansas and Texas with you, Ty. Thank you,
Thanks,
man.
Ty.
See you guys.
You got it. Ty Richardson with us from ESPN Arkansas in Fort Smith. An early start to the morning for him tomorrow. And with every passing minute in that game, Bryant, though, that plays into Arkansas' favor. They just can't get knocked out early. It was over at halftime.
That's right.
Against Ole Miss. And both sides felt it.
Yeah.
And they sure felt it. And just to try to get that game into the fourth quarter, and hope a little magic happens.
And this is going to be cliche and obvious, but a fast start is important for Arkansas tomorrow. You saw it in that Ole Miss game. They started out flat, and Ole Miss jumped all over them. If they can get out there, get that energy going early in that building, then maybe they're able to hang around late.
I agree with that, but okay. So if you can't have that, just don't have that. Oh my start, like the scoop and score
that's
against
what Ole Miss was. It was immediately you're going, oh, this is miserable if you were an Arkansas fan.
Yeah, and just try to stay in it. I think Texas is good, but I think they may be the poster team in the SEC. For my theory on the SEC is really, 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 really good this year. Good. Not vintage. This is not vintage Texas. No. I don't know if this Texas is as good as last year Texas, and they may get into the playoff and then make noise. But I don't think the league is vintage, and I don't think this is vintage Texas team. I know it is the thankful month, and we have so much to be thankful for. Thankful for all this great college football. We get to talk all the time at All-Star Chevrolet and Olive Branch. They have red tags everywhere, and that means savings. New 24s and 25s. Got to love all these new affordable Equinox for 2025. All the red tags means money saved for you. 0% financing, a ton of cash back for you. Red tags on Silverados, new 24s with 1.9 financing, plus $3,750 back in cash. New Colorado trucks, financing down to 1.9 and not a single payment until February of 2025. Your good credit deserves it, and you get it at All-Star. And if you're law enforcement, military, healthcare worker, first responder, educator, recent grad, extra $500 bonus back in cash. All-Star with all the pre-owns you can think of. Jeeps, SUVs, Toyotas, Nissan, Suburbans, Tahoes, and a ton of pre-owned Silverados. If you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it to All-Star, whether you bought it there or not, and you'll get the most money back for it. I guarantee it. Drew DePriest and his team at All-Star wish everyone in our listening area start of a happy holiday season, Thanksgiving, into the Christmas season, and into 2025. Together, let's drive to All-Star Chevrolet. First exit as you enter into Mississippi on Highway 78. That's Kraft Goodman Road. And you're there. And for more information, go to allstarautogroup.com.
Well, let's get to another break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
You know the great thing about having an event catered by Central Barbecue?
What was that?
They turn any event into a cookout.
You stole that directly from their website.
Well, I didn't expect you to have looked at their website.
I've got events coming up. It's the holiday season, and there's no better way to make things easier than to have Central Barbecue cater it.
They have everything. Box lunches, meat platters, nacho bar kits.
And half and full sheet pans of their traditional barbecue sides. I'm looking at the website right now. You're quoting it verbatim.
Not exactly verbatim.
Word for word. This is a new level of lazy even by your standards.
That doesn't make it any less true. You can't beat Central Barbecue Catering.
It's just plagiarism.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Take your basketball skills to the next level at Shoot 360 Memphis. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge technology with gamification and provides instant, objective feedback with hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching. And now, introducing Shoot 360 Cordova, a newly renovated 50,000 square foot facility facility with 2 NBA regulation-size courts, 3 high school-size courts, and 4 shooting bays with Shoot 360 technology. Memberships are now on a monthly basis. And yes, you can become a member at both locations. Whether you're an aspiring young talent, NBA player, or looking for a unique workout, all skill levels are welcome at Shoot 360 Memphis to learn proper shooting and passing techniques, improve fundamentals, and gain a competitive edge while having fun. Shoot 360 Memphis now in Cordova and Collierville. Call them today at 901-779-3176. That's 901-779-3176. The future of basketball training is here. Shoot 360 Memphis.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brad, I actually have 2 big numbers today, but they go hand in hand with each other. My first big number is the number 342. My second big number is the number 318. So 342 and 318. We'll start with 342. 342, that is how many average rebounds Ohio gets per game. They've really struggled on the boards this season. That's how many rebounds they've grabbed this season. Then my other big number, which I think is the more important big number, talking about tonight's game, is 318. Ohio's 318th in the country in rebounding margin. They are a -6 rebound margin this season. And again, that is coming against teams, Illinois State, UNC Asheville, and then James Madison. So these aren't, Power 5 teams by any means that they're playing. I do think Ohio has some talented players. They haven't been able to really make it mesh early this season. And on the boards, I think Memphis can really dominate in that area. You go back and look at these games. 23 rebounds against Illinois State. The game before that against UNC Asheville, 40 rebounds. That was the only game that they've won this season. And then before that against James Madison, 23 rebounds. So they've really struggled on the glass, grabbing rebounds, and with Dane Danger, with Moussa Cisse coming off the bench, Nicholas Jourdain, those guys should be able to feast in the paint. We talked about it earlier, that feels like, to me, we know the Tigers have really good guards, but, that feels like where the Tigers can have a big advantage in this game is in the front court play, grabbing rebounds, getting offensive rebounds, getting second chance opportunities. That could be the difference in this game tonight against Ohio.
Yeah, I won't say I'm scared of tonight's game, but I'm certainly alert to it, and the Tigers need a good effort. I know you're going to visit with Jason Munns coming up at the top of the hour at 5 o'clock, presented by Jim's Place in Collierville, and talk all things Tigers. And I'm going to rejoin you at 5:30 for First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast, and we'll close it out together for crunch time. But I wanted to jump in this segment and those segments, even on a day off. My big number, you scared me to death because I thought it was my 2. I have 2 big numbers as well.
Okay.
13,455. 13,455. That's the number of yards passing for Seth Hennigan in his illustrious, notorious Tiger football career, with 96 touchdowns. And both of those will never be touched.
No.
The idea of a 4-year starter, the game started, the snaps, everything he's done for the University of Memphis will never, ever be touched. And now we also get to play the mall game. Are you ready? The proverbial, if they're on one end of the mall, and there's an autograph session going on, who has the longer line? So on one end of the mall is Tiger great Seth Hennigan. On the other end, Kelly Wise.
I think Seth Hennigan has the longer line.
Shaq Goodwin.
Oh, man. I don't want to answer this question, Brett. Next.
You got to answer it. Shaq Goodwin or Seth Hennigan?
I'm going Shaq, but I think maybe more people will go Seth.
The original OG Arthur Barkley.
Seth.
Jeremy Hunt.
Hunt might get a bigger crowd. He might have a bigger line. I don't know.
Austin Nichols.
Oh, yeah, Seth. Everyone's going to Seth. Good Lord.
But I do that, not to try to embarrass or pick at anybody, but Seth Hennigan has had this career. Is he that appreciated? I know he is by that core, that core, that very loyal, that I applaud, that's out there no matter what in any kind of conditions, and they're off to the ball game. But is it enough that hasn't? I thought he would have a bigger year this year than he's had. I did, but he hadn't had a bad year.
No, he hadn't had a bad year. I think there are a couple factors into it, but I think everyone would agree that the expectations, the excitement before the season was a little more than what this offense has given this season. And with him being the quarterback, he's going to get a lot of the blame, and a lot of people are going to go to him first. Maybe instead of other places. And, as a quarterback, you have to wear that. But hopefully tomorrow night, there's a great crowd to
hope so too.
To see him off in his last game. I know there was a little bit of controversy, and our friend Jonah Dillon had to kind of go on to Twitter and clarify, because he had a quote that he or somebody else in the media asked Seth Hennigan, what does Saturday mean, being senior day? And that, Seth Hennigan said, I guess it's supposed to be sappy or something. And a lot of people took that quote and was like, well, is he not appreciative of being senior night? And Jonah clarified, he said it, wholeheartedly. He is very emotional about tomorrow, and that's just kind of who Seth is. So I hope there's a good crowd tomorrow night for that game.
I think he probably meant it that he didn't want to lose his emotion pregame.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, I think taking a little bit out of context, but by some people, but hopefully it's a great environment tomorrow night for not just him, but a lot of seniors that have been here a long time, a lot of guys from this area.
A lot of winners.
Yeah, a lot of winners. So hopefully it will be a lot of fun. Well, let's go ahead and get to another break, wrap up this hour, and when we come back, we're talking Tiger basketball with Jason Munns.
Hello, sports fans out there. Walker Taylor here with the Germantown and Collierville Commissary. We just celebrated our 43rd year in business, and I would like to thank our fantastic customers and especially our loyal staff. Time has flown by. We now have a second location, Poplar and Houston Levy in Collierville. Catering is a specialty of ours. 50 to 5,000, no job too small, no job too big. Full service or self-service. We also have a party room in Collierville that is great for rehearsal dinners, business meetings, you name it, we'd love to have you. Also, our barbecue party packs start at $8.75 a person. Barbecue, beans, slaw, bun sauce, including serving utensils. Especially great for tailgating with football season coming up. The commissary restaurants also believe in giving back to the community. Possibly you have been approached by somebody selling a barbecue 6-pack coupon for fundraising. Cheerleading groups, church groups, anything to help a worthy cause. Holidays are near. Smoked hams and smoked turkeys will be on the pit before you know it. Come see us at Germantown and Collierville Commissary. Also check us out at commissarybarbecue.com.
Fall is football at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Monday through Friday is happy hour from 3 to 6 with $1 off all draft meals, $5 off well drinks, $4.50 for house wine, and half off pretzel bites, mozzarella sticks, queso, corn dogs, and pickles. Monday through Friday night lights from 7 to closing. Dine in and buy 12 wings and get 5 regular wings for free. Come watch college football and every pro game on the weekend. All at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Highway 70, fall is football.
Family Leisure needs your help. Family Leisure has inventory they've got to move because you know what season is coming up. So why wait? You can complete your ultimate game room with a new pool table, a new shuffleboard, new arcade games, or just get all of them. Tons and tons of theater seating, overstocked and priced to move. 'Tis the season for fire pits, and all fire pits at Family Leisure are 20 to 30% off. You say you didn't get a spa this year? Well, say no more. Spas are in stock and they're ready for delivery and up to $1,500 off. These are just a few of the deals happening right now for a very limited time. So come on, check out their gigantic showroom. You never know what kind of deal you're going to find at Family Leisure, Whitten Road and I-40, where family and fun come together.
Getting engaged soon? Don't make her settle for one of those knockoff mass-produced rings you find at most jewelry stores.
Floors and More invite you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Jason's Deli. When you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway and the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises. Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Still heavy out here on all the major outbound routes. 240 East still a little bit heavy at times. Passing Poplar up to Walnut Grove. It's trying to load up with more volume by the minute on 40 East here at Sycamore View Road as you make that drive down 40 East out towards Fayette County, passing Germantown Parkway. Shop now and save during the holiday season at Weimer's Jewelry. They're located 7525 Highway 64. Go by and see them this weekend at Weimer's Jewelry. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with Dave Woloshin, weekday mornings from 10 to 11. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Once again, our Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
You say you stand by your man. Tell me something.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett usually in this segment, but just Bryant today. Brett is out. You heard him a little bit earlier in the show. He's going to join us a little bit later in the show as well. But joining us now to talk some Tiger basketball like we do every single Friday afternoon at this time, Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal. He's the Tiger basketball beat writer. He joins us, talk some Tigers, the 2-0 Memphis Tigers under Penny Hardaway. Jason, you were out in Las Vegas last weekend for that game against UNLV. You told us last Friday, travel-wise, it was going to be very tight. Were you able to make it? Were you able to hit up the stores before the game? How did last weekend go for you?
The only hiccup, I love talking about this. The only hiccup that I had, it was as I discussed last week. Yes, it was going to be a very, very tight schedule, and the plan was to, as soon as I land, I was going to pick up my rental car and go to a record store and then go straight to the game. That was if there were no delays on the front end and so on and so forth. Luckily for me, there were no delays on the front end. I actually got there a few minutes ahead of schedule. However, when I got to the rental car counter, there was 100+ people in line. So I didn't even break stride. I as soon as I walked through the doors, I did an about face, walked right out to the corner, ordered an Uber to the hotel.
Wow.
It threw off my, transportation plans for the day and the night, but that was a minor quibble. Not all I was worried about, but the big thing was getting there on time. I got there on plenty of time, and then the flight back was just equally as on schedule. So all's well. It all worked out.
I'll tell you, Jason, you have great travel stories covering Tiger basketball. What was it, like 2 years ago when you were out in the snow in Wichita? I mean, and that year I feel like you had a lot of trouble getting to and from games throughout the year. But
last year in Wichita was when it was like minus 25 below or something there. And then 2 years ago it was in Cincinnati when it was.
That's what it was, Cincinnati.
Yeah, when it was like I somehow made it from northern Kentucky from the airport hotel to the over the bridge into Cincinnati, and I get like I don't know 2 blocks away from where I'm trying to go, and my car just won't there's too much snow and ice, and it just won't go forward anymore. So I had to drift to the curb in Parallel Park and hope it was still there when I got out of there, and it was. And no, wait until Thanksgiving week when.
Man.
I don't know if we're gonna be if you guys are gonna be on, but my flight out of Maui is due to leave at 11:45 p.m. Hawaii time.
Oh my gosh!
The last game is supposed to tip off at 7 p.m. Hawaii time. I am praying to the travel gods that Memphis is not in that game, because if they are, it's going to be really, really tight. But that's a story for another week.
Man, that's insane. Well, the story of this week was the Tigers' win over UNLV, an early, tough road game. I mean, this is a UNLV team. We don't know what they'll be this season, but usually year in, year out, they're right there in the pack with this Mountain West Conference, which is year in and year out a really good basketball conference. But Tigers go out there, they get down early in this one in the first half. I think was it 12 or 14 points in that first half. They're able to cut it to about 4 points at halftime, and then they come out and are red hot in that second half. What were your biggest takeaways from the Tigers' win against UNLV?
I mean, the second half where they shot 71.4% from the floor. It was the second game in a row. I mean, 2 regular season games so far, and they in the first one against Missouri, they scored 51 second half points. In the second one at UNLV, they scored 50 second half points. So, I mean, it's a very small sample size, but they clearly have a formula. They trailed by as many as 14 against Mizzou, trailed by as many as 12 against UNLV. I don't know. To me, the more impressive one was the UNLV one. I think they're probably going to end up being the better team by the time it's all said and done, comparing UNLV to Mizzou. Plus, it was on the road. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was the most impressive thing to me. It's one thing to battle back and come back and win at home, but to not only rally and win on the road, but UNLV didn't exactly go away the same way that Mizzou did. Mizzou, once Memphis got into that press in the second half, Mizzou they didn't quit, but you could tell their will was broken. UNLV's will was never broken. There were some real crunch time minutes there late in that game where Memphis just beat UNLV. So those were my biggest takeaways. Obviously, PJ Haggerty, we can talk about him, 29 points, 7 rebounds. Again, he's fantastic. Tyrese Hunter rebounded from a rough first half, finished with 9 points and 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Nick Jourdain scored 11 of his 12 points in the second half. I thought, to me, Dane Danger, I think he is pretty quickly realizing that it's not going to come as easy as he might have, or some people might have thought it would for him.
Yeah.
At this level, coming from Illinois to here, and I think, I asked him this, he finished with 9 points, and I felt like there was a moment in that game where he realized, scoring is not going to be my impact on this game. I have to do something else, and he finished with 11 rebounds.
Yeah.
I think that was a game high. Yeah, that was a game high. I thought he outplayed his counterpart, Bear Cherry, who had some height going into this game. He finished with 9.7 rebounds. 3-point shooting looked pretty good again, 6 out of 17. So that's good. The only bad stuff is that you got Tyrese Hunter and PJ Haggerty, who are not 100% healthy, and you got another game with foul trouble. I mean, this one was pretty rough in terms of foul trouble. Musa Cisse, and let's see, Musa and Nick Jourdain both finished with 4 fouls apiece. Like there was I don't know, 2 or 3 guys going into halftime with 3 fouls, I think, maybe even more than that. So for them to finish without having, without anybody fouling out, I thought was good. But those can be some tense moments when you're dancing with that much foul trouble.
Mm-hmm. Well, you said a couple things that I want to get to kind of more in depth. But I want to start off with that first half and really kind of what's been the theme over these last 2 games of regular season play, and you can even take it back to the game against Alabama, the exhibition against Alabama, and you wrote a story earlier this week talking about this Tiger team playing with fire and kind of these early struggles in games, getting down by double digits, and then kind of blitzing the other team in the second half and coming back and winning. Do you have a theory? Do you see anything that stands out as to why this team is starting off slow in the first couple of games of the season? Has Penny Hardaway said anything about what he thinks maybe has led to that? And kind of how do the Tigers get out of this kind of these type of starts, I guess I'm trying to say?
I mean, the closest thing that we've come to as far as an explanation is concerned is when we talk to PJ about his individual patterns. Like he does not start fast. Mm-hmm. These first few games, things look kind of clunky for him starting off, and then in the second half he goes nuts. As far as a team is concerned, and so PJ about him speaking about himself, he says it takes him a little time to sort of figure things out. Mm-hmm. Like he doesn't just jump right in, and it takes him a little bit longer than I think some other players to get a feel for not only the other team, but the arena. I mean, let's not forget that he has only played 2 real games against real opponents inside FedEx Forum as a member of this team, mm-hmm. Just twice. So, and then the UNLV game, he's on the road. The Alabama game is in Huntsville. So I think it takes him a little bit longer to sort of get used to his surroundings. And then in the second half, he just sort of makes his mind. He just decides, I'm done with this. I'm just going to do what I do best. And I, he's confident that that's good. That's better than most. And so, but as far as the team is concerned, no, we really haven't gotten like, anybody, nobody has come out and said, this is why, this is exactly what's going on here. And I think that's okay. I mean, it is still a pretty small sample size, and it could very well just be a straight up coincidence. Like they could come out tonight and drop 50 plus in the first half for all we know. You know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, you look back at history, especially recent history, there were quite a few games last year when it was lopsided. Sure. Like they would play great one half, and then the next half, sometimes it was the first half they played great, sometimes it was the second half they played great. Usually, maybe not usually, but some of the time at least, the other half was not so good. So I don't know that we're necessarily there yet to say this team is going to have to deal with that every single time out. It's just been a couple of games, so let's give them a little bit of time to work it out. I think they will, and I would, if I was betting, I would say it starts tonight.
Yeah, well, that'd be great. You mentioned injuries. A couple guys kind of banged up. Both P.J. Haggerty and Tyrese Hunter are dealing with kind of nagging injuries right now. What have you heard about both of those guys and kind of those injuries and the rest of the team?
PJ's got a knee situation where it happened in the Missouri game where he and Musa just kind of got, on the floor, and Musa kind of fell on his knee. I don't think that's anything more than like just soreness is kind of the way I'm understanding it. They're being very cautious with not only him, but also Tyrese Hunter. When we talked to Penny the other day, I think it was Wednesday, they had not practiced since since the UNLV game, and they both missed 3 practices the week before, leading up to the UNLV game. So I think they're just being cautious. Tyrese Hunter's, I think, is a little bit. It's not a serious injury, but it's a little bit worse than PJ's, which again, I think we could look up as long as it doesn't get worse for PJ. We could look up next week when they're playing San Francisco, and he's back to full health. But I think, like I said, I think Tyrese is a little bit. They're going to have to manage his. Penny called it a kneecap issue. I think they're going to have to really you're going to have to keep an eye on that one and see how things play out pretty much week to week. And then Penny the other day also mentioned Nicholas Jourdain is dealing with a hip situation. He said he has practiced some, but he has also not practiced some. I think he's also going to be one of those things that they just keep a close eye on, and if it flares up, then they'll deal with it, and otherwise they'll just keep going like normal.
Yeah. Talking to Jason Munns, he's the Tiger basketball beat writer at the Commercial Appeal. He joins us every Friday to talk Tiger basketball, and as always, he is brought to you by Jim's Place in Collierville. I've heard a lot of people bring up depth. Some people concerned about it. Some people too early to tell about it. But you look in that UNLV game, and the guys that came off the bench, PJ Carter led the team or led that bench unit with 12 minutes. Musa Cisse with 11, and then Baraka Okogie and Jared Harris both playing 8 minutes or less. Not a ton of production from them in that game. 5 combined bench points from those 4 guys. What do you think about the depth of this team?
Isn't it wild how it's like there doesn't seem to be like a happy medium?
Right.
Like every year, like when Penny's playing 12 guys, it's uproar.
It's too many, way too many.
People are in an uproar. Even if he's playing like 11 guys, it is uproar city, man. And then now, he's only got 9 currently available scholarship players,
and he's basically playing 7, right?
And it's like whoa, it's 2 games in, and we got 3 or 4 guys playing 35 minutes.
Exactly.
We gotta where are the reinforcements? And it's like you can't win for losing if you're Penny Hardaway from this depth conversation that seems to always be coming up. I think there is valid points to both arguments. If like just from my standpoint, I don't think you need to be playing 11 or 12 guys on a regular basis. But I also do think there is something to it's very early, and some of these guys are a little bit older. Nicholas Jourdain, Tyrese Hunter, we're talking about some older guys here who've got some wear on their tires, and like I said, they're playing. Colby Rogers is another one. They're playing a lot of minutes, these guys, very early, and so you do kind of wonder about that. And I asked Penny about that after the UNLV game, and he said the exact same thing. You don't want to tear these guys down too early, but at the same time, you got to win the game. So I don't know if there is a simple solution, but they're winning, and again, I think tonight probably represents a pretty good opportunity to, Ohio's struggling a little bit right now. I still think they're a good team and probably will win their conference. I don't know what that says, about them. I don't know. I don't think that means that they are especially a very good team, but, if they come out and do what they're supposed to do, Memphis does tonight, then I think they will have an opportunity to sort of let PJ Carter play a few more minutes and let Jared Harris and Baraka Okogie play a few more minutes. So, I think that'll help them.
Yeah. Well, I guess the last thing before we get more in depth to tonight's game against Ohio, kind of from that same standpoint of depth, kind of goes hand in hand with some of the foul trouble we're seeing early on. Nicholas Jourdain, who I love watching Nicholas Jourdain play, but the first 2 games of the season, fouls out against Missouri, 4 fouls against UNLV. Musa Cisa has 4 fouls as well. PJ Haggerty, 3 fouls. What are you seeing in terms of that? Does the kind of fouling concern you early this season?
The only one I think that would concern me is Jourdain. He doesn't have a true backup really at his position right now. We as we all well know, Tyreke Smith is no longer here. And that kind of creates a little bit of an issue from a depth standpoint at that position. He was going to be a 4, and Nick doesn't have a true backup. Like, they can get away with some stuff if they absolutely have to in an emergency situation, but it's been back-to-back games now for Nick, fouling out against Mizzou, and as you mentioned, I think he had 3 at halftime against UNLV.
Yeah,
so he's going to have to. That one I think is going to need to be, like, they're going to have to figure something out. Like, he's going to have to adjust something, I think, to account for those issues. But at the same time, you're not going to get, the whistles are generally going to go against you when you're on the road. So, I keep pointing out the sample size and how small it is. Some of these things that we're talking about, could be valid concerns, could be things that that we look up in 2 weeks or 3 weeks and they're still causing issues. But I do, at the very least, take it with some of the stuff with a grain of salt and say it's been 2 games.
Sure.
Let's give them a little bit of a chance to at least play a few more games before things get really, we've got to dig into them.
Yeah, still very early in this season. Talking to Jason Munz, the Commercial Appeal Tiger basketball beat writer, as always, presented by Jim's Place in Collierville. Let's get into tonight's game. You have mentioned this Ohio team. They've played 3 games this season, 1-2 on the year, the only win coming at home against UNC Asheville. Lost their 2 road games they've played this season against James Madison and Illinois State. The thing that jumps off the paper to me about this Ohio team, you mentioned it, the preseason pick to win their conference. They bring back a handful of starters, added some guys through the transfer portal, but this team has really struggled on the boards this season, in the bottom 50 or so of college basketball in terms of rebounds per game and rebound differential. It feels like this could be a big opportunity, again, as long as they stay out of foul trouble, for this front court of Jourdain and Danger and even Musa coming off the bench. It feels like where they can feast down low, especially on those boards.
Yeah, they're minus 18 in 3 games. So they're averaging minus 6 per game. I think their tallest player may be 6'8", and that's listed at 6'8". That may not actually be overly accurate, but so yeah, if there is a weak spot on this, for this Ohio team, it's pretty glaringly that. They do, they're pretty good though, especially on offense. They're shooting 47.6% from the field, averaging 78.3 points per game. They can score.
Yeah.
They're shooting 37.3% as a team from 3 through 3 games. They've got 5 guys in double digits, averaging double digits in points, and 6 guys averaging 9 or more points. So, and again, you mentioned that there's 4 starters that they returned from last season when they won 20 games. So I think they're going to figure it out. I just don't think they're very good right now, especially defensively and on the rebounding in the rebounding column. Defensively, they are averaging 83 points per game allowed, and they're not playing world beaters. You mentioned their opponents, James Madison. Their highest KenPom ranked opponent so far is James Madison at 178. Memphis, by comparison, is 38 in KenPom currently. So this has all the makings. Tonight's game has all the makings for a a laugher. Like Memphis should blow this team out. They're favored, I think last time I saw, by like 12.5 points or something, and I picked them to win by 13.
Wow, so you're right there on the number.
I don't like follow that sort of stuff very closely, and I made that prediction days ahead of when the line dropped. So anyway, I guess I'm just lucky in that way. But yeah, I think it could be a lot worse than that. I mean, it's back at FedEx Forum. They've had 6 days since the UNLV game. I mean, we'll see how it plays out. We'll see, if they kind of take their foot off the gas, they get a really big lead, like 25 points or something like that, and they kind of take their foot off the gas, give some guys some rest. It could get closer back to that 12.5, line or whatever, but it should not be close. No matter what the final score looks like, it should not be close tonight.
No, I'm with you on that. It should be a fun one tonight at FedEx Forum. Jason, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll talk to you again next Friday.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Jason. Jason Munge joining us from the Commercial Appeal. He joins us every single Friday during the Tiger basketball season to talk all things Memphis hoops. And as always, he's presented by Jim's Place in Collierville. Well, we're about to get to a break, and it'll be time for Friday football forecast. But before we do that, let me remind you about our great 5 o'clock sponsor. That's Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Jaguar Bluff City has been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984. Their talented team, they're ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, or the 2025 Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport, where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility, with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635. It's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Take a look at the Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. And don't forget about the Defender, available in multiple models to fit your needs. The Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call today at 877-259-6169. Go online to jaguarbluffcity.com. Better yet, go out there and test drive those great vehicles. 6335 Wheel Cove, right there just off of Quince. Go and check out that holiday season right around the corner. It's getting closer by the day, so go out and get you one of those brand new 2025 models for the holidays. But always shop with Jaguar Bluff City. Well, let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Friday football forecast.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wallow said hello.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. we sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Verga's Rendezvous, a legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym. Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get. Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me. I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real? Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean. And it's made a difference for you? Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. Work, in the gym, and in the bedroom. Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves? Yeah, you just need to send them a text. Text POWER to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text POWER to 321-321. That's POWER to 321-321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
Spencer here with ATC Fitness. There's no better time of the year than now. Football and fitness go hand in hand in the fall. And with individual screens on each piece of cardio and multiple big screens throughout the rest of the club, you'll never miss a bit of the action watching your favorite team. ATC Fitness continues to be the Mid-South's choice for fitness, family-owned for 30 years, and proud supporters of Coach Silverfield and the Memphis Tigers. Join online at atcfitness.com. ATC Fitness. Exercise your right to look good.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Dacus.
Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. Real estate isn't something you purchase or develop or desire. It's something you appreciate, respect, and know. With real estate, there's no gray area. You either know it or you don't. First National Bank and Trust, a proud division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. They've known it since their beginning in 1886. Clients depend on First National Bank because they know real estate. Brooks Winchester, Bill Samish, and many more can assist you in your acquisition of that hunting land, farmland, a construction project. Let First National Bank and Trust make your dreams a reality. 775 Ridge Lake Boulevard, Suite 140 in Memphis, 901-498-5763, or the office in Collierville, or online at fnbtmemphis.com. For commercial real estate, residential construction, or recreational and agriculture financing, let First National Bank and Trust help you. They're a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, where I have had an account, been a friend, and been a customer my entire life. Brian, I'm back. Let's close strong. You ready?
Let's do it.
Friday football forecast every Friday from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. Whether it's in Eastern Arkansas or now in West Tennessee, you can count on this. Customer confidence is the cornerstone of First National Bank and Trust. First game of the day, 11 o'clock, ABC, Texas minus 13.5 over the Razorbacks. Texas leads all time 56-23. Ty sounded really dour about the prospects for an upset. Any Arkansas fan can instantly tell you the score in the year when they were at a game of the Razorbacks beating Texas. For me, twice for me. 1981, my freshman year, 42-11 in Fayetteville. Goalposts came down. 1979, 17-14 in Little Rock with my good friend Bryce Fletcher. Texas leads 17-4 all-time in Fayetteville. Jaquindon Jackson will be back at running back for the Razorbacks after a week off, and they needed it. And Andrew Armstrong closing in on 1,000 yards receiving for the Razorbacks. Texas, first SEC game against Arkansas. 9 consecutive true road wins for the Texas Longhorns. At least one turnover force in 17 straight games. Texas comes in. Looks like they're cruising to the college football playoff. Connor.
I have Texas.
That was quick. Darian takes the Razorbacks. Brian.
Yeah, earlier when we were talking to Ty, I need a little more confidence in him, and he just did not give me that. So I'm going to go. I already had Texas written down, but that just made me even feel even more strongly about Texas. I'll take the Longhorns.
There is not a chance I would ever take Texas over the Razorbacks. No chance. Straight up upset. Goalposts come down tomorrow. 24-23 Razorbacks.
I love it.
2:30 on ABC, LSU minus 4.5 at Florida. Brian Kelly 2-0 versus Florida in his tenure at LSU, and looking to be the first LSU coach to ever win all three of the first three against the Gators. LSU 7-2, coming off a loss since Brian Kelly took over at LSU when he came down from Notre Dame. Florida leads 16-15-3 all time in this series in Gainesville. All 5 Florida losses this year against teams currently in the AP Top 25. Florida center Jake Slaughter may be the best offensive player on Florida. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing when your center may be the best player on your offense. Florida did go for 197 rushing, though, last week against what we think's a big, bad Texas defensive front. Can they pull the upset tomorrow straight up over LSU in the Swamp? Connor?
I have LSU.
I guess not. Darian doesn't think so. He has LSU. I think the Gators get it done. 19-17
Wow.
Gators, and then they'll head into the Ole Miss game with a lot of momentum, and that will finish off LSU for sure this year. Bryant.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Florida in this one. I don't know if I'm necessarily gonna pick the straight up upset, but I do think Florida keeps it close. I think LSU, that bubble was burst last week with that home loss against Alabama. Everybody calling it an elimination game, so I think it's gonna be all Florida in this one. Maybe they don't win the game, but I think they cover.
And if Florida pulls that upset, the deep, dark recesses of the interwebs come out to full light. They'll be dreaming of Saban then. No prayer. 6:30, Georgia minus 10.5 over Tennessee. Georgia leads all-time 28-23-2. All-time Kirby is 7-1 as a head coach against Tennessee. Georgia 14-3 after a loss under Kirby, so they know how to rebound. Georgia 34 of 37 in the red zone. 32-2 in their last 34 SEC games. Josh Heupel, if he gets the win, it would make 3 straight years of nine or more, and that would be the first time since Philip Fulmer did it in a great stretch of 95 through 99. 23 straight games without allowing a sack by Cooper Mays. Second straight Athens meeting that Tennessee goes in ranked higher than Georgia. Remember, they were number 1 when they went in there 2 years ago. I'm going to take the Dogs minus the 10.5, and I think it will be comfortable. Maybe not easy, but comfortable. They get there 24-7. Darian takes Georgia as well. Connor?
I have Tennessee covering the 10.5 points, hopefully with Nico.
Hopefully with Nico. Bryant?
Yeah, I just think this is a lot of points. I mean, UT has found the most success on the ground, and with that defense, I do think that, if Nico doesn't play, that sure, now they're going to be focused on one thing, and it's stopping the run and forcing, the backup to throw the ball around. But I still think 10.5, I think that Tennessee defense is going to make it hard for Georgia. Georgia's offense has not looked very good, especially in recent weeks. So I'll take Tennessee to at least keep this within single digits.
So far, the Dacus brothers, true to their tag team bad guy role, going against the local teams, both went with Tennessee, but went against Arkansas.
Right.
So y'all have both UTs.
That's
How about
right.
that?
How about that? It's a UT
What a
day.
UT. Well, I know that means a lot to y'all being up full.
It's a lot of points. It's a lot of points.
It is a lot of points.
It is. 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Goodbye to the senior class. Goodbye to a lot of players that have done a lot of winning for the Memphis Tigers. Most importantly, Seth Hennigan. Like I said way back with my big number, those are astounding numbers. Memphis minus 14.5 over the Blazers. Battle of the Bones. UAB 10-6 all time over the Tigers. 35 Tiger seniors will be honored. UAB punt returner Cam Shanks leads the nation in punt return yards. Hope the Tigers aren't having to punt a lot to him. UAB top 5 pass defense. Pretty good defensive front. Final home game for Seth Hennigan. Again, those numbers. 13, 455 passing yards, 96 touchdowns. 2 games left. He will finish over 14K and 100 easy. It will never be broken. Never, ever, ever. I know that's a long time, and I'm not much for never and ever. Bryant.
Yeah, I'm going to, people are going to hate me for this. I'm going to take UAB in this one. I mean, Brett, it's a lot of points. And this Tiger team, while they've been winning games, they haven't really been covering. And so I'll take UAB to cover this game. I hope they don't. I think the Tigers win this one comfortably. But, you can still win this game by, 2 touchdowns and not cover the spread. So, I'll go with you, AB, here.
I'm convinced y'all would be bad guys at wrestling and maybe
Sure.
even be in mask.
I could do that. I could rock the mask for sure.
Would I be the manager? Could I be the manager?
Absolutely. You can
like
play
Dr.
a
Ken
mean
Ramey with the interns?
You can play a mean manager, Brett.
Connor.
I have Memphis winning
Way
big
to
and
go.
keeping the bones.
Yes, got to keep the bones. Darian has the Tigers keeping bones. I have the Tigers winning easily.
Wow.
Well, winning and covering the point spread narrowly, 35-20. 35-20 is my score, so getting there by a half point. College football lock and shock time. Darian, he has BYU laying the 2.5 against Kansas, and he takes Mizzou plus the 13.5 at South Carolina. So I'll get to my lock and shock. My lock is opposite of Darian. There will be blood there, but Darian way ahead for the year. He leads 26 to 23 over Connor. I have 11 points. Bryant, you now are at only 9 points. So I can't make up a lot of ground on Darian. But my lock will be South Carolina. I think that's easy, 34-14 over Mizzou. And my shock will be UL Monroe plus the 24.5 at Auburn. Straight up, Monroe wins 20-17, and a whole new conversation starts around Brother Freeze. Connor, your lock and shock.
My lock, I have Oregon minus 13.5 versus Wisconsin. And my shock, I have Nebraska plus 9.5 at USC.
What a setting for the Big Red going into the Coliseum. Those helmets, those uniforms, all that tradition for two teams really aren't very good, but a great setting for those two teams. Bryant, your lock and shock.
Yeah, my lock, I'm going to go with Illinois minus 2.5 over Michigan State. The Illinois team has played well this season, so I think they can at least win this game by a field goal over Michigan State. And then my shock, I'm going to take a stab here in the Sun Belt, or as we like to call it, the Fun Belt. Arkansas State, our neighbors just across the river, plus 3.5 over Georgia State. Now, this is a road game for Arkansas State, but they've been playing good ball. Georgia State really has not looked very good this year outside of that win over Vanderbilt, and that feels like a lifetime ago. But they really haven't done anything since then. So I'll take a stab at Arkansas State. If they win this game, they're bowl eligible. So I think even added more to the table to try to get that win tomorrow over Georgia State. So I'll take Arkansas State plus 3.5 over Georgia State.
I don't think Butch Jones needs it for job security, but it never hurts.
It never hurts. I'm with you. I don't think they would make a move, but certainly, getting bowl eligible, that would, and again, doesn't hurt. It only helps.
And everybody reluctant for a lot of payoff money.
Absolutely.
That's helping everybody for our job stability. That's college. Now to the NFL. It starts at noon on Sunday on CBS. Baltimore minus 3.5 in Pittsburgh. This is all time. Pittsburgh leads 3-1 in postseason, but 35-25 in the all-time matchup. AFC North heavyweight matchup. Lamar Jackson next rushing touchdown against the Steelers will be his first. Wow. He's never had a rushing touchdown against the Steelmen. Baltimore scored touchdowns on 33 of 43 red zone chances. When they get in the red zone, they push it in the end zone. That's what a good rushing team does. Derrick Henry, that's the good rushing part. He has scored in all 10 games, becoming the 5th player since 1970 to do that. Listen to this list. O.J. Simpson, Jerry Rice, John Riggins, and Todd Gurley. That's the list.
Todd Gurley, love it.
That's the list. Darian takes Pittsburgh. I take Pittsburgh to win straight up 21-20. Connor.
I have Pittsburgh.
Whoa.
First time today, Bryant.
Wow, Brett, I think it should be illegal to bet against Mike Tomlin. It's certainly a gambling sin. I don't know if I have a list of the gambling sins or certainly the 10 commandments of gambling, but this is one of them. Mike Tomlin, you can never go against him. He always finds ways to cover.
Coveting cash?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yes, but he always finds a way to cover games at home against Baltimore. He's going to have his guys ready for this one, so I'll take the Steelers to win this one outright.
Group lock. Didn't have one in college. We have one in the NFL. 3:05 on Fox on Sunday. San Francisco minus 6.5 over Seattle. Seattle leads all time 30-23. Their first meeting was Seattle's first year, 1976. Christian McCaffrey back. DK Metcalf back. Nick Bosa 8.5 sacks in the last 7 regular season games when he plays Seattle. Seattle 4-5 on the season. San Francisco 5-4 on the season. Both teams need this one. Darian takes his 49ers. Connor.
I have Seattle.
Bryant.
Yeah, I'm going to take Seattle in this one as well. I know San Francisco is getting more healthy, but, they still have not looked great this season. I think it's going to take them time to really get back into that groove. And against this Seattle team, I'll take Seattle plus 6.5.
I'm going to take San Francisco to win the game and cover narrowly, 27-20. That was my preseason team pick I had to win the Super Bowl. Sunday Night Football, NBC 720. The Chargers minus 1.5 over Cincinnati. This is Joe Burrow versus Justin Herbert. Second meeting as pros. No interceptions for Herbert in the last 6 games. Chargers have allowed a league low 13.1 points per game. 18 sacks the last 3 games for the Chargers. Top pick in the 2020 draft against the number 6 pick in the 2020 draft. Give me the hometown team, the Chargers, to win the game 19-14 over Cincinnati. Darian takes the Bengals. Connor.
I have Cincinnati as well.
Bryant.
I'm going to take the Chargers in this one. That Cincinnati defense scares me, so I'll take the Chargers minus 1.5 and, get the win. And hopefully, if you win this game, hopefully you cover it because hopefully you win by 2 points or more.
Darian's NFL lock is New Orleans minus 1.5 over Cleveland. My NFL lock, my Lions, Detroit, easily minus, is that 10.5 over Jacksonville. They win the game. Bryant, your lock.
A lot of points. I'm going to take New Orleans minus 1.5 over the Browns. So I'm right there with Darian. I think that's a good play, so I'll take New Orleans in that one.
Late on a Friday. I can't read my own writing. Connor.
I have Green Bay minus 4.5 at Chicago.
That's the old black and blue division. NFL shock time. Connor, you first.
For my shock, I have Kansas City plus 2.5 at Buffalo.
Darian has Atlanta plus 2.5 at Denver. Bryant.
I'm going to go with the Colts plus 4.5 over the Jets. Jets.
They are B-A-D. Bad,
Yes,
bad. Good pick. Connor, I'm with you. I don't know how many times you can get Patrick Mahomes and the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs, back-to-back Super Bowl winning Chiefs 3 times with this grouping, Hall of Fame coach, plus points. But I'm going to take it every time. Yeah. Kansas City wins 26-20 in Buffalo. We'll pick Monday Night Football on Monday afternoon at 5:30 when we do our Monday Night Football pick and preview. But that's our Friday football forecast. Brought to you by First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. For real estate, commercial, ag, hunting, and a lot of people are going to be in the woods this weekend or anything recreational. Contact them at fnbt.com or visit them in the offices in Collierville or over on Ridge Lake or call them at 901-498-5763. Stable, secure, solid, reliable, and consistent all these years.
Well, let's get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Family Leisure needs your help. Family Leisure has inventory they've got to move because you know what season is coming up. So why wait? You can complete your ultimate game room with a new pool table, a new shuffleboard, new arcade games, or just get all of them. Tons and tons of theater seating, overstocked and priced to move. 'Tis the season for fire pits, and all fire pits at Family Leisure are 20 to 30% off. You say you didn't get a spa this year? Well, say no more. Spas are in stock and they're ready for delivery and up to $1,500 off. These are just a few of the deals happening right now for a very limited time. So come on, check out their gigantic showroom. You never know what kind of deal you're going to find at Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Indulge yourself or your loved ones this season with a trip to Sissy's Log Cabin. Here, you can shop our expansive selection of designer brands, one-of-a-kind jewelry, and spectacular statement pieces, all while enjoying the Sissy's promise of unmatched quality, service, and brilliant natural diamonds. Stop by any location or shop online at sissyslogcabin.com to find your trusted jeweler for holiday memories that will last a lifetime. Make a statement this season only at Sissy's Log Cabin.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Sportstime on Sports 56 and 95 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Plus. Once again,
spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today is the Tigers have an opportunity to start the season 3-0 tonight with a win over Ohio. I talked to Jason Munns earlier about last week's game and also about this game, and we kind of agreed this team really struggles in the front court, especially rebounding the ball. Defensively, I don't even think I had really looked much defensively of what they had done. You look at this Ohio team and how many points they've given up. Over 80 points in the 2 losses. 88 points to James Madison, 85 points to Illinois State. Their one win, they won that game, but still gave up 76 points. So if the Tigers front court can get on the boards early, and if they can knock down shots early, this should be a game that the Tigers win fairly easily. But with that being said, this is still a Ohio team that was picked preseason to win their conference, a 20-game winning team last
quality
season.
Opponent.
Yes, a very quality opponent. So this isn't an opponent that you can overlook coming in and go, oh, well, look how many points they've given up, look who they've lost to, and then try to just kind of go through the motions in this game. Tigers are going to have to come out and get to it early, and if they can do that, if they can kind of buck this trend through the first 2 games of slow starts, get a fast start, I think they should win this game fairly easily.
Bankroll proved it for me. I think the Tigers win, but I think Ohio, with all those points, I'll keep it close than that. But the Tigers win. What I learned, Tigers trying to get to 3-0 versus Ohio, and football trying to get to 9-2 versus UAB. Big Memphis Tigers weekend. I'm headed to FedEx Forum to see the Tigers in person for the first time against the Ohio Bobcats. Gannett, it's not that hard. Memphis Tigers, Ohio Bobcats.
Yeah, that was strange, and that's Gwinnett doing their outsourcing of printing. It's ridiculous, but that was the misprint yesterday.
And then the hardworking writers like Michael and Jason and many others they have to hear it. It's not
Which
on
is
them.
crazy. No, not on them at all. I mean, anybody that thinks Jason Munn's made that mistake would be crazy. What I could have done without today, Brett, I don't know how much you've been seeing it. I don't know how much you're keeping up with it. I know you're not going to be watching it, but the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight tonight at Jerry's World
Is
in
it
Dallas.
legit or is it fixed?
Well, it's a sanctioned boxing match, so they want you to think it's legit.
Wrestling sanctioned, but
yes,
something.
I don't ever really think Jake Paul fights are super legit, and certainly when Jake Paul,
I hope Tyson eats him.
I would love that, but I don't know if it's going to happen. Last night we had the weigh-ins, and Jake Paul comes in and steps on his foot, and Mike Tyson slaps him across the face, and afterwards, Jake Paul said he must die now. I mean, it's all to sell tickets, and it's on Netflix tonight. I know a lot of people.
Did you notice
tuned
like
in.
the ring girls behind them?
Yeah, I not.
They never blinked. They knew all that was getting ready to happen.
Of course, yeah.
If you saw somebody get hit in front, you would at least blink.
100%. Ooh, nothing. It was all. I believe it was all staged.
It's Lance and Dave standing in front of that desk in
right.
1960 years.
But tonight on Netflix, we can see Mike Tyson.
I think he's got a chain.
What he's
no,
got
he
his old
definitely
age.
has one.
Yes, we knew he had a chain, but who knows? I'm sure. With all that being said, I'll probably still watch it tonight.
I could have done without Trevor Etienne out for the big one in Athens, Georgia. Doesn't run it very well with him, and it's going to be hard for them to run against the Tennessee defensive front that stops the run really well. It is huge at Athens. The stakes are as big as ever.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Where are you beaming tonight?
Beam me to this weekend. I'd love to go to Between the Hedges. I've seen some classic Tennessee, Georgia games there. This one with the stakes as big as they've ever been. Georgia, they're out with a loss. I don't need to hear any three-loss defense. I don't need to hear any from South Carolina, none from Georgia. If they lose, they're out. UT, if they lose, then they're at the mercy of the selection committee, and the examination of that loss in Fayetteville will get a little more scrutiny.
Yeah, no, it 100% will. Beam me. How about let's beam tomorrow night to Memphis and UAB senior night for these Tigers, this great group of seniors led by Seth Hennigan, the four-year starter at quarterback. But you look at some of those other guys, Jonah Gamble, Greg Rubin, Rock Taylor, some of these guys that have been around and have been
quality players, a lot of winning.
Yeah, been with these really good teams. Kobe Drake, who started off as a walk-on and then earned a scholarship and has now played a big role for this Tiger team. I hope a lot of people go out there, give them a good send-off in their final game at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, and it should be a good win for the Tigers tomorrow night.
Tigers and Bobcats tonight. Grizzlies against our old buddy, our old pal Draymond Green tonight. And then Sunday, the matinee for Grizzlies in Denver. Big man in town on Sunday. 7 ranked teams. I've called it all week. At least 7 lose this weekend. There's now 3 matchups. That's me just getting 4 other ones. Texas and Arkansas, SEC style in Fayetteville. And South Carolina trying to make a case for a 3-loss team. I don't think there's one, but you know Shane Beamer will be advocating for his team. NFL on Sunday, college basketball in the NBA all weekend. Really fun weekend with big stuff in college football.
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything this weekend. And a quick reminder before we get out of here of what we've got here on Sports 56 this weekend. Tomorrow afternoon, Ole Miss basketball versus Colorado State. That game being played in South Haven. We'll have pregame starting at 2:30. Sunday, NFL tripleheader, Packers-Bears at noon, Falcons-Broncos at 3, Bengals-Chargers at 7. But that's all the time we have. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you again Monday afternoon.
Fall is football at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Monday through Friday is happy hour from 3 to 6 with $1 off all draft meals, $5 off well drinks, $4.50 for house wine, and half off pretzel bites, mozzarella sticks, queso, corn dogs, and pickles. Then enjoy Friday night ice from 7 to closing. Dine in and buy 12 wings, get 5 regular wings for free. Come watch college football and every pro game on the weekends. All at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Highway 70, fall is football.
Sometimes you just want the naked facts, like the fun that comes from a quick and nimble 2024 Honda CB500F. This naked-style street bike sports a narrow 471cc twin, along with a sleek TFT display, dual-disc front brakes, and standard ABS, all at an affordable price. Find fun in all the right places in the 2024 Honda CB500F, available at DeSoto Honda, 5656 Newman Road in Olive Branch.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a Mother Pheasant Plucker, I pluck Mother Pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Five-Ash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. Five-Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Hungry for that delicious smash burger flavor? Dyer's Cafe is the original smash burger since 1912 and still smashing burgers in Collierville's historic town square. Come out for their lunch specials Monday through Friday 11 to 2. Ask about their world-famous split dog and authentic Chicago or New York dog. Try the leaner side of Dyer's with a grilled chicken sandwich or freshly made salad. Also serving lakes, Delta-raised catfish, Pasquale's tamales, and a customer favorite hand-breaded onion rings. Dyer's, serving world-famous burgers, dogs, and shakes in Collierville's historic town.